I was reborn, back into my mother's womb when she was 8 months pregnant. In my previous life, my parents' exploitation drove me to a mental breakdown, and I ultimately chose to end my own life. Meanwhile, my twin brother stood by and reaped all the benefits, watching my death with cold indifference. Living again, I finally see through everything, feeling my twin brother in the womb with me. I fumbled with all my might and reached for his umbilical cord. My name is Astra, and I was born in a seaside fishing village. My father was a fish broker at the dock, and my mother was a factory worker in a weaving mill. From the moment I was born, being a daughter made me inferior to my twin brother, Killian. Even though the family was fairly well off, my parents never spent an extra cent on me. A married daughter is like spilled water. From now on, everything in the family belongs to your brother, and you must support him as well. This is what my father and mother often said to me, and in my previous life, it brainwashed me for a full 30 years. For Killian, I gave up the college entrance exam despite my excellent grades and was arranged by my parents to work as a female weaver in a textile factory. For Killian, I, a young girl experiencing first love, was married off by my parents to a scumbag in the village. For Killian, I worked day and night, eventually falling ill from overwork and being hospitalized, yet my parents refused to pay a single cent for my treatment. Instead, they discussed funeral arrangements with that scumbag husband of mine, planning to collect a nice sum in condolence money. Losing all hope of living, I ultimately chose to end my own life. Since I couldn't control my own fate, I could only decide my own life and death. The deep-rooted preference for sons over daughters turned me into a money-making tool for this family, the financial backbone for my brother Killian, and a bargaining chip for a bride price. But she had never truly become a daughter to her parents or a sister to her brother, and my brother Killian, from start to finish, stood by coldly and watched, comfortably enjoying the value I created for him too. The searing pain from the fall onto the hard cement in my previous life had not yet faded from my mind when a muffled voice reached my ears. You're only 2 months away from giving birth, Hester. Stop doing heavy labor and just rest well to nurture the baby. It was pitch black all around. I could feel myself inside a soft container, enveloped by a great deal of fluid. This was a woman's womb, the place where life is nurtured. I was reborn. I had traveled back into my mother's womb, becoming an 8-month-old fetus. That loathsome voice just now, I would never forget it in my lifetime. It was my grandmother. In her past life, she abused me ever since I was a child, and she targeted my mother as well, calling us both disappointments who cost the family money, simply because I was a girl and my mother gave birth to me. A girl, you useless piece of trash, and you even gave birth to another money loser. Do you think the Sioux family fortune comes from the wind? How could my son have married such a good-for-nothing like you? This was what Grandma often yelled at my mother. My mother never resisted at all, but later on, she turned around and used the same words on me. I pitied her. She was both a victim and a perpetrator, stuck her whole life agonizing over her identity as a woman. Living again, I finally saw the truth. In this life, I will no longer let myself be pushed around by them. I want to live well for myself. All over again, I will make Killian understand that in this world, a woman is not an accessory to a family. I will start changing his thinking from the time he is young, so that in the end he will firmly stand by my side and help me stand up to our parents. In the darkness, feeling another life huddled beside me, my twin brother, I began to roll with effort, finally managing to touch his umbilical cord with my arm. Immersed in the amniotic fluid of the womb, I couldn't see, and my body was so soft that I could barely control it, so it must have taken me several days to wrap Killian's cord around his neck. I wounded only twice, because I feared 3 loops would strangle him to death, and then my foolish parents and grandmother might throw me into the sea as a jinx. At the same time, I kept rolling to change our positions in this life. I refused to be the submissive younger sister. I'm becoming an assertive elder sister. 3. Amid our mother's screams in the delivery room, Killian and I were born. This time, I got my wish. I became the elder sister, and Killian became my younger brother. When the nurse picked me up, I coughed out the remaining amniotic fluid from my lungs and sensibly burst into loud cries. In my previous life, I was born with the umbilical cord wrapped around my neck, which left me frail from a young age. It took a long struggle in the delivery room before I finally let out a cry. In this life, Killian's physical condition was clearly much weaker due to the same cord entanglement. After a prolonged joint assault from the doctors and nurses, I barely managed to hear his faint, not-so-loud cry wrapped in a swaddling cloth. I was handed over to someone, a useless girl. My grandmother's voice reached my ears as if muffled inside a stuffy jar. Then I felt myself being casually placed on a hard surface. I guessed it was the wooden bench outside the waiting room. I figured that at that very moment, this malicious old woman must have been grinning from ear to ear alongside my worthless father, holding Killian. But I was too weak to hear almost anything right then, for by the time I was 3, I had already started doing what I could around the house. Just like in my previous life, in my past life, the umbilical cord was wrapped around my neck, and the old woman said, "Why didn't she just strangle it in the womb?" In this life, the old woman's words became Jinx, if it weren't for her, my precious grandson would never be so sickly, and it was true, Killian had always been frail. A cold breeze brought on a cold water gave him diarrhea, a yawn could dislocate his jaw, and a single cough would strain his ribs. He was like a fragile porcelain doll, so the old hag blamed it all on me, and as a result, the Jinx's standing in the family sank even lower. Still, I always found a chance when no adults were around to give Killian a good beating, a daily ritual I had kept up ever since I learned to roll over at 6 months old. At first, the family thought I was just too young to know better. Later, they realized I was doing it on purpose. Many times, he would tearfully go to the adults to complain, and then my parents and grandmother would give me a severe beating. When I was beaten, I never cried. I would just coldly stare at Killian, and then hit him even harder the next time. After a few times, he realized that complaining would only lead to an even worse beating from me, so he wisely shut his mouth. This was a habitual way of thinking cultivated from childhood. Just like training a dog, with persistence, it would engrave fear of me into his mind, so that even if he grew stronger than me in the future, he wouldn't dare to rebel. As the saying goes, give a slap, then offer a sweet date. While bullying him, I also did my utmost to protect him outside. Since childhood, Killian has been weak and sickly. Starting in kindergarten, other kids often picked on him. Whenever I heard him cry, I would rush to his classroom like a madman, and like a rabid dog, I would beat the bullying student until they wailed. Even the teacher couldn't hold me back. Over time, I became known around the school as the terrifying madwoman, and everyone knew that Killian had a sister who defended him without principle. Killian's feelings were likely very conflicted. On one hand, he was afraid of me, but on the other, the moment he was bullied, I was the first person he thought of, craving my protection. My parents were also pleased with my almost crazed sisterly protection, until that incident in the 5th grade. In the second semester of 5th grade, a few boys from Killian's class cornered him at the bike shed, pulled down his pants, and beat him up. Their reason for beating him was simple. He was the first student in the class to own a personal stereo. I witnessed this when I went to the bike shed to get my bike, and I charged at them like a maniac. I had a fearsome reputation. The boys were terrified when they saw me, and one of them, slower to run, got a hard kick to the waist from me. He suffered a fractured rib. That evening, the parents of the injured boy came to our door, demanding an explanation. My father repeatedly apologized, paid the medical expenses, then grabbed the carrying pole used for hauling water. In front of the boy's parents, he beat me viciously with it until I coughed up blood. Only then did he feel fear and stop. From beginning to end, I stared at him intently, neither crying nor dodging. Finally, Killian stepped in front of me and tearfully told him the truth. Only then did my father angrily throw down the pole. All you do is bring trouble to this family. Do you know how long it takes to earn that money? Jinx, I should have thrown you into the sea to drown. Even though he knew I had acted to protect Killian, he still resented the money paid for the medical bills and placed all the blame on me. That night, I was forbidden from eating dinner and was sent to the yard to feed the cattle. Killian ran over and secretly slipped me 2 pieces of jujube cake. That was the first time in my life I had ever eaten date cake, because this ordinary snack was a privilege reserved only for the son in this household. I wolfed down the 2 pieces of date cake, then raised my hand and gave him a hard slap across the face. Do you know why I hit you? He kept his head down, not daring to look at me. Yes, because I didn't step forward and tell you about the bullying. Get lost. 6. Through the 3 years of middle school, I consistently ranked among the top of my class. Although Killian wasn't as good as me, he steadily maintained grades that were above average. In the 2nd year of middle school, something happened at home that made me happy. My grandmother passed away. That vicious old woman who wanted to throw me into the sea the moment I was born was finally dead. Finally, there was one less person in this household tormenting me. Killian sobbed inconsolably at the funeral, while I merely watched everything around me expressionlessly from beginning to end. Sis, I'll never see Grandma again. Killian sat beside me crying, seeking comfort. Mistakenly thinking I'd share his grief, I coldly tossed out, "What the hell is that to me?" He looked up in shock, met my hateful gaze, and lowered his head in gloom. He must have recalled how that kind-looking old woman had cursed me as a jinx with the most vicious, vile words imaginable. 7. In the 9th grade tracking exam, I secured a spot in the advanced class by ranking first in the grade. In the office, the homeroom teacher sat on a chair, looking at my exam paper and nodding with satisfaction. When I looked up again, our eyes met, and I could see the undisguised regret in hers. What a pity. She glanced at the paper in her hand once more. Astra, if only you were a boy. At that moment, the blood in my veins seemed to freeze. A teacher, a public educator, a gardener nurturing the flowers of the future. She was just as trapped as my parents by such stubborn and narrow-minded thinking. Looking at her face, I seemed to see my father and mother, my deceased grandmother, and the women in the village who strutted arrogantly after giving birth to sons. I could no longer hear what the teacher said after that. I just kept telling myself, over and over, I have to get out and never come back. 8. During study hall that day, I was working on problems when I suddenly felt a warm Sensation down below. By the time I realized it was my first period, my pants were already stained with blood. I tied my shirt around my waist, asked the teacher for leave, and went home to change my pants. Pushing open the yard gate, I saw my mother doing chores in the yard. "Why are you back?" The next second, she noticed the blood on my pants, walked over, and slapped me hard across the face. "You disgrace. Don't you have any sense of shame?" Watching her rant endlessly at me about the pants, I simply ignored her, went inside to change into another pair, soaked my school uniform in water, and began scrubbing at the red stains. "You worthless child. A school uniform costs over 200, and you don't even have basic common sense." I found it funny. Turns out in her mind, this kind of physiological knowledge should come naturally without anyone teaching it. I stopped washing clothes, looked up at her, and said, "Give me money. I need to buy sanitary pads. You think you deserve that, eh? Pack costs over 10 yuan, enough for a whole meal." She doesn't mind spending money on her own pads, but when it comes to me, she pinches every penny. I simply ignored her and went straight to the cabinet to find her sanitary pads to use. She didn't dare stop me, because since middle school I had learned to fight back. She couldn't gain much from me, so she just stood in the yard hurling insults. But the bloodstain left a mark after all. I had no choice but to go to school the next day wearing uniform pants with a bloodstain on them, because they refused to buy me a new pair of school trousers, even though our family wasn't short of money. The next day, as I walked through the school gates wearing those trousers with the bloodstains that simply wouldn't wash out, jeers came from behind me. "Ouch, since when did the top student turn into a monster?" Laughter immediately erupted all around. I quickened my pace, hoping to get away from these people, but then I heard the sound of a scuffle. Behind me, Killian rushed over and punched the boy who had mocked me right in the face. The boy was tall and strong, while Killian was slender and no match for him. The boy pinned Killian to the ground and started punching him in the face. I flung myself at them and kicked the boy in the neck, knocking him off Killian. I grabbed the boy's neck with all my might, unleashing on him all the anger that had been building up inside me. His eyes reflected a glint of fear, and he even forgot to resist. Killian grabbed me from behind and dragged me backward with force. Sis, let go, you'll choke him to death." Pulled away by Killian, the boy collapsed to the ground, coughing violently. His eyes were full of terror. I broke free from Killian's grip, rushed up, and kicked the boy in the face. "Laugh at me if you want, but if you dare touch my little brother, I'll kill you." After saying that, I turned around and slapped Killian hard across the face. "And you, if you don't have the guts, don't pretend you're so tough." He was already used to me hitting him, but after glancing at the onlookers, he muttered quietly in a goading tone, "I just can't stand hearing them make fun of you." I pointed at the school building and said, "Get lost, go to class 10. After the high school entrance exam, both Killian and I were admitted to the city's key high school. The difference was that I ranked first in the city, while Killian ranked 329th, and the only reason I could smoothly enter that key high school was thanks to the 30,000 yuan financial aid grant that the Municipal Education Bureau delivered with much fanfare that day. For the first time, I saw my parents flash the same smile at me that they usually reserved only for Killian. I knew they were smiling for the 30,000 yuan, smiling because they finally had something to be proud of in the village, but never smiling because they were proud of their daughter. So throughout the 3 years of high school, I studied even harder, almost to the point of obsession. Winter and summer vacations were the hardest times for me each year. Not only did I have to help at the seaside, but I also had to take care of housework. But Killian, with just one sentence, got me out of all those chores for the entire 3 years of high school. My classmates are all taking extra lessons. My sister is top of her grade. Let her tutor me during the break. It'll save on tutoring fees. My parents were overjoyed when they heard this, praising him for growing up and becoming considerate, for understanding that money doesn't come easy to them. Only I knew that he was actually trying to give me more time to study. I'm also grateful. Since starting high school, I've barely hit him, so usually at home, we each study on our own. Only when he comes across something he doesn't understand does he cautiously approach me to ask. I also try to keep my emotions in check, and only lose my temper and hit him when he fails to understand the explanation the first time around. 11. After 3 years of high school came to an end, I faced a turning point in my life. The college entrance exam, I didn't perform well, scoring only 647 points. Killian did even worse, scoring just 490 points, a full 50 points lower than his usual mock exam results. He decided to repeat the year, while I was told to report to a weaving factory, all because this time, the Municipal Education Bureau didn't send a Gongendrum team to deliver money to the village. No matter how well she studies, she'll end up getting married someday. What's the use of so much schooling, if you ask me? It's better to start earning early and enjoy life sooner. What's so great about going to university anyway? Does it mean you won't get married? You're an adult now. You can't just do whatever you want. The family needs you to take on responsibilities. Amid the clamor of countless aunts and relatives, my mother even started packing my bags, planning to place me in a worker's dormitory at a textile factory. But at that time, I had already received my acceptance letter from Balliol University. Watching my parents enthusiastically discuss how I should allocate my monthly wages, I announced my decision. I'm not going to work, I'm going to school. Naturally, those words earned me a severe beating. The two of them were so furious that they took turns hitting me. Careful not to let me catch my breath, I pulled a thick iron wire from the corner and pressed it against my neck. Either I die right now, and you waste the last 10 plus years raising me, or you let me go to university and I'll earn money after I graduate, I said calmly, the tip of the wire piercing the skin on my neck, a trickle of blood seeping into my clothes along my collar. The two of them fell silent, glaring at me angrily. The family has no money right now. Your father and I need to save our salaries for Killian's college. If you want to study, you'll have to figure out the tuition and living expenses yourself. Exactly. Do you know how many connections I had to pull to get you into the textile factory? I'm your mother. Would I ever hurt you? I didn't want to argue with them anymore. Let me die, or let me go to school. 12. In the end, under my threat of death, the two of them chose to give in, but they firmly refused to cover my living expenses or tuition. I've raised you for over 10 years, and now it's time for you to repay your parents. We have no money. If you want to go to college, figure out how to pay for it yourself. With those cold words, my heartless father stood up and left the room. My mother shot me a hateful glare and followed him out. I rubbed my bruised arm, grabbed a tissue to dab the blood from my neck, and called the admissions office number on my acceptance letter. A female teacher answered. I briefly explained my situation. She comforted me in a gentle voice. Don't worry, student, come to register first, and the school will help figure things out. Her words were like a glass of water handed to someone dying of thirst. I savored every drop. Before hanging up, she specifically reminded me, don't give up hope, young lady. Hearing this, I clenched my jaw to keep from crying. I understand. Thank you, teacher. 13. During the month waiting for school to start, I worked as a girl on the assembly line at the town's food processing plant. The plant hired short-term student workers during the holidays, and while the pay was less than what regular workers earned, for me that month's wages were still a small fortune. After working a full month, I received my pay and went home to pack. I found my luggage pitifully meager, an old set of bedding, 2 pairs of shoes, 3 changes of clothes, plus my toiletries. That was everything I owned. As I was about to leave, my parents blocked the door again. I went and asked, you earned over $2,000 this month. A girl like you, going out, what do you need so much money for? The family just happens to need high-quality feed for the cattle. Hand over $1,500, my father said to me matter-of-factly, a cigarette pinched between his fingers. I gripped the straps of my backpack tighter. No way, that's my living expenses for the future. My mother immediately tried to snatch my backpack. No, there's no way we're letting you go out with that much money. As the two of us were tugging at the bag, Killian ran in and shouted, Dad, our cow has gotten out. Hearing that the cow had escaped, the two of them could no longer worry about me. They rushed out to chase after it. Sis, let's go. He grabbed my hand, led me out of the house, and slipped into the alley, weaving this way and that as we ran toward the village entrance. You let the cow loose, didn't you? How are you going to explain yourself when you get back? A glint of mischief flashed in his eyes. I'll just say I forgot to close the gate. They won't blame me. When we reached the village entrance, he pulled a wad of cash from his pocket and stuffed it into my hand. The largest bill was 100, the smallest a 1 yuan note. All crumpled together, probably 3 or 400 yuan in total. I haven't been wasting money lately. I saved up a bit on the sly. Keep it for your living expenses. Looking at that familiar face and the money he held out, I could no longer see the cold, selfish jerk from my past life. I reached out toward him, and out of reflex, he flinched, shrinking his neck and stepping back, thinking I was about to hit him again. I threw my arms around his neck and pulled him close. Your sister is leaving. Study hard. His body tensed. Then he held me and called out, sis, crying softly. What's there to cry about? All you know is how to whine. I wiped his tears with my hand, then smeared his runny nose onto his shirt, turned around, and walked away without looking back, luggage in hand. Behind me, I heard him shout, sis, take care on the road. Without turning around, I casually waved my hand. I didn't dare look back, because I was afraid he would see my uncontrollable tears. 14. After a day and night of sitting on a hard seat on the train, I finally reached my destination. Getting off the train, I smelled the dry, scorching air, so much more comfortable than the salty, humid air by the sea. I was finally free, finally escaped from the home that had caused me so much pain for 2 lifetimes. Suddenly, someone lifted the luggage bag next to me, and I was startled, thinking someone was trying to snatch it. Young lady, let me carry that for you. The speaker was a middle-aged man around 40, with a face full of fierce features and a terrifying tattoo covering the arm of his short-sleeved shirt. No need. I hurried to take my bag back, but he switched it to his other hand to keep me from touching it. Come on, I'll carry it for a while. Are you here for school? Yes. Along the way, I remained wary of this stranger, afraid he might just run off with my bag. Even though the bag only held clothes and bedding, having it stolen would still be a huge hassle for me. When we reached the exit, he set the bag down by my feet, flashed a grin, and said, "All right, off you go, take care out there." The smile wasn't exactly pretty, but it felt like the most reassuring one I'd ever seen in my life. He waved and melted into the crowd. Only after he disappeared among the people did I come to myself and bow gratefully in his direction. "Thank you." 15. After 2 bus transfers, I finally stood at the gate of Balliol University. A few passing male students, realizing I was a freshman, warmly helped with my bags and led me to the new student registration office. I met Teacher Young, the one I had spoken with on the phone. Teacher Young learned about my situation, said he would apply for a student loan for me, and kindly contacted the logistics department to arrange a part-time job for me in the cafeteria. It seemed that ever since I set foot on campus, everything started going smoothly. The school dormitory was a double room. The girl living with me was from a neighboring city, named Sloan, a typical northeastern girl. Very warm and incredibly outgoing. After lights out, she cheerfully climbed into my bed and started our late-night chat session. After just one night of talking, she had already learned everything about my family background. "Are you sure you weren't adopted? Because even adopted kids wouldn't be treated like that." She was shocked by my family's almost pathological preference for sons over daughters, and I was equally shocked that she was the cherished pearl of her family. 16. My job at the cafeteria was relatively easy. I only needed to get up an hour earlier each day to help out, serve meals at the window at noon and in the evening, and in return, I received a monthly salary and 3 free meals a day. The free meals alone greatly reduced my daily expenses. The few aunties working in the cafeteria had heard about my situation from Teacher Young, and they were genuinely outraged by what I had been through since childhood. How could parents be like that? They're completely unfit to be called parents. So the aunties began keeping a close watch, not allowing me to do any slightly heavier work, and the chef would occasionally whip up a special meal for me on the sly. This was a kind of warmth I had never experienced at home. No one looked down on me because I worked in the cafeteria. In fact, my classmates who got larger portions than usual were met with envious glances from others, while other students would beg the cafeteria staff, "A bit more, just a bit more." When my classmate got his food, he'd say, that's enough, I can't finish it." It was common to see boys waddling along, patting their full bellies and burping as they cursed, "That damn Astra is trying to stuff us to death." There was a touch of smugness and humble brag in their tone. Thanks to my job at the cafeteria window, I quickly became everyone's favorite in the class. The unique warmth of the people from Northeast China rubbed off on me, and I soon fit right into the group. No one here believed in favoring sons over daughters. In their view, women hold up half the sky was the normal way of thinking. Daughters also have inheritance rights, and within the family, a daughter's status is even higher than a son's. Heavy lifting and carrying things was always the men's job. A few times, when I saw them struggling with a load and tried to help, they would rudely push me back. "This is men's work. What are you, a woman, butting in for? Go on, get out of here." Words that sounded extremely impatient, yet they made me feel a different kind of warmth. 17. Entering November, the temperature plummeted. Autumn seemed to have barely shown its face before being pushed down by winter. As the weather turned cold, I planned to have Sloane accompany me to a nearby market to buy a down jacket, but when she returned home over the weekend, she walked in and threw a large package into my arms. I opened the package. Inside were 2 pairs of thin cotton pants and a down jacket. The cotton pants were bought for me by my mom last year. They're a bit small and I never got around to exchanging them. The down jacket was bought by my dad. I hate purple the most, and it just takes up space at home. Help me get rid of it. You're treating me to the cafeteria tonight. Deal's done. Happily decided. We have similar builds. Those cotton pants would have fit her perfectly. Not liking purple was just a clumsy excuse she made up to give me the clothes without making me feel burdened. Looking at the clothes in my arms, I wanted to say thank you, but tears uncontrollably streamed down. "Oh geez, I'm so fed up with you. It's just a few clothes. Is it really worth all this?" She can't stand seeing me cry, so she quickly put her arm around me to smooth things over. "Don't be so stingy. Forget about you treating. I'll buy you some spicy hot pot tonight. Oh, stop crying." 18. As the new year approached, I welcomed the first winter break of my college life, and students began leaving campus one after another. I didn't go home, because I was afraid that once I returned, I would lose the chance to come back to school, and my parents never called even once. For them, as long as I didn't ask for money, they didn't really care how I was doing. Only Killian would occasionally secretly call me, but he only reported his study progress, and we usually hung up after a few sentences. Luckily, the dormitories remained open during the holiday, so I could keep living at school. As the spring festival approached, I specially bought 2 bags of frozen dumplings and put them in the cafeteria freezer, planning to sneak in on New Year's Eve to cook myself a dumpling feast. Just as I was looking forward to my New Year's Eve dumplings, the dorm door was pushed open. Sloane walked in, and without a word, grabbed my down jacket and started putting it on me. "Come on, my mom wants you to go home with me for the new year." I tried to decline repeatedly, but she half pulled, half dragged me into a taxi. Then, at her home, I saw a scene I will never Forget, in the kitchen, Sloane's father, wearing a pink apron, was busy stir-frying dishes. When he saw me, he popped his head out from the kitchen, greeted me cheerfully, then ducked back into the kitchen. This was something I never would have imagined. In my own home, my dad and Killian never lifted a finger to do any household chores. All the housework and farm work were done by my mom and me. Sometimes, when my mom went to work at the factory, these tasks naturally fell on my shoulders. The aunt pulled me to sit on the living room sofa. How did this girl get so thin? How could her parents be so heartless? This genuine concern and care made my nose sting with emotion. The aunt held my hand. Once you're here, it's just like being at your own home. Tell me what you'd like to eat, and I'll have your uncle make it for you. I asked quietly, don't I need to go help uncle in the kitchen? The aunt waved her hand dismissively. Help with what? If a grown man needs help just to cook a meal, what good is he to me? 19. At the New Year's Eve dinner table, my uncle pulled out a bottle of wine and asked, want some? My aunt picked up a piece of saucy pork bone and put it in my bowl. Follow your sister's lead. Grab it with your hands and gnaw. Sloane was holding a sauce-covered bone almost as big as her palm, chewing away with grease all over her mouth. My uncle poured me a glass of wine and said with a warm smile, try my cooking. I just hope it suits your taste. Parents who dote on me, and an older sister who likes me. Scenes like these never even appeared in my dreams before, yet now they were unfolding vividly right in front of me, having lived two lives. For the first time I felt the warmth of family in Northeast China, thousands of miles away from my hometown. For them, being reserved or overly cautious would be the greatest disservice to their kindness, so I started imitating Sloane, grabbing that big bone and gnawing on it. 20. The annual college entrance exam came around again. This time, Killian scored exceptionally well, clearing the first-year cutoff by over 30 points. When filling out his college application, he called me to ask for my advice. Sis, where do you think I should put as my first choice? What do mom and dad say? They want me to pick a college near home, so it's easy for me to come back. Dad says children are for old age support and doesn't want me to go too far. I remembered the uncle who helped me carry my bag at the station, the aunties in the cafeteria, Sloane's parents, and my teachers and classmates. To truly transform Killian from the ground up, I couldn't rely solely on my own carrots and sticks. I needed a larger environment to root out the deeply ingrained flaws in his character. Killian, if you truly trust me, put down National University of Defense Technology as your first choice. A man needs to go out and explore the world, not spend his whole life tied down by that little fishing village. Okay, sis, I'll do as you say. The day after he submitted his college preferences, I received an unexpected call from home. It was my mother. She was crying and cursing me over the phone. You ungrateful child. You don't even come home for the new year to honor your own parents. You only care about having fun out there. And now, not only that, you've egged your little brother on to apply to universities in the Northeast. What on earth were you thinking? So Killian had really listened to me and applied to the National University of Defense Technology. Listening to my biological mother's vulgar tirade on the other end of the line, I asked her casually, Mom, why do you want Killian to go to college? Why, to bring honor to the Sioux family, of course. So, was I trying to ruin him by suggesting he apply to universities in the North? If he goes that far away, what will happen to your father and me? Who will take care of us when we get old? So, Killian is just your and Dad's retirement security. His future isn't your priority, is that it? Nonsense. Would I ever harm my own son? Stop trying to drive a wedge between us. I gave the most reasonable advice based on his grades. If you don't like it, you can make him repeat the year and apply to that third-rate diploma mill in town tomorrow when choosing his college preferences. With that, I hung up the call without giving her a chance to respond. 21. 2 months later, Killian reported to the National University of Defense Technology. I went out of my way to meet him at the station and took him to the freshman reception area in front of the station. He had grown taller and sturdier, and as soon as he saw me, he handed me the parcel he was carrying. I'm exhausted. Mom packed so many things for me that I could barely carry them. As always, I took the parcel from him and asked, Didn't Mom and Dad come with you? No, the fishing ban is about to start, and there's a lot to do at home, so I didn't let them come along. Just as we were talking, a few male students from the freshman reception walked over. One of them naturally took the parcel from my hand. Killian looked at the student in confusion, but I just habitually smiled and said, Thanks. Excuse me, are you a new student here to register? No, he's the new student. I'm his sister. The guy who had taken the parcel shoved it back into Killian's hands. You're a grown man, making your sister carry your bags for you. Don't you have hands? I smiled and tried to smooth things over. That's how it is back home. It's fine, really. The few guys gave Killian a distinctly disdainful look. What kind of place is that? Still playing the favoritism for son's game? Seriously, big guy like that, still making his sister carry his bags. If I ever made my sister do any work at home, my dad would kill me, even though they were muttering under their breath. Killian heard every word clearly, his face flushed and paled by turns. I patted him on the shoulder with a smile. That's just how things work around here. You'll get used to it. Looking at the several senior students, he nodded blankly. 22. The education I had given him since childhood helped Killian quickly adapt to the new environment and blend in with his new classmates. He was astonished by the status of local women, a social environment he had never experienced in nearly 20 years. He called his parents and told them he could work to pay for his tuition and living expenses, trying not to ask them for money anymore. His parents were so moved upon receiving the call from their son that tears streamed down their aged faces, praising Killian for growing up and becoming so responsible. Thinking back to how they had squeezed every penny out of my meager living allowance before I walked out the door with my luggage, I couldn't help but feel a deep chill. When a son works part-time to support his studies, he's seen as independent and mature. When a daughter does the same, it's taken for granted. And if she doesn't use the money she earns to help the family, she's considered unfilial. During the long holiday, Killian called his parents, using the expensive round-trip fare as an excuse to say he wasn't coming home, then turned around and came straight to me at school. When I met him at the school gate, I could clearly tell he had changed somehow, though I couldn't pinpoint exactly what was different. It wasn't until we were out shopping that he naturally reached out, took the bag from my hand, and started carrying it. He was already nearly a head taller than me. I stretched my arm up with effort, patted him on the head, and said, "Good job." Of course, he chuckled. It's a little brother's job to serve his big sister. I laughed softly. Killian really had changed, and then I realized it had been a long time since I last hit him, so I reached under his ribs and gave him a vicious pinch. A scream like a pig being slaughtered came from the pedestrian street. 23. In the blink of an eye, I was a junior, still calmly receiving my annual scholarship, completely immersed in the dual world of the academic superstar and the campus belle who serves meals. Occasionally, when Killian wasn't working odd jobs during break, he would come find me, update me on how he was doing, and let me fleece him for a meal. That day, I was reading in my dorm when the door was suddenly pushed open. I saw the two people I least wanted to see in my life. "Why you two? Why are you here?" As usual, my father had a sour look on his face. "I'm your father. Why can't I come?" My mother, on the other hand, looked reproachful. "You haven't been home for years. Looks like you don't want your father or me anymore." Sloane knew about my family situation and politely stepped forward to greet them. "Hello, Uncle and Auntie." Her warmth was met with a blunt response from my father. "Get out. Our family has something to discuss." Sloane thought she had misheard. "What did you say, Uncle?" My father shot her an impatient glance. "I told you to get out, don't you understand plain English?" I immediately sensed trouble. Sure enough, the next second Sloane's expression changed drastically, and she let loose on my father. "Who the hell do you think you are, ordering me around? My own father has never talked to me like that. If you know how to talk, then talk. If not, shut the *CK up. How did you get in? This is the female dorm. You're the one who should get out." My father had probably never seen a woman dare talk to him like that, and for a moment he was stunned, speechless. Sloane's loud voice nearly lifted the roof, drawing the attention of girls from other dorms and the dorm matron, Auntie Wang. "Whose child is this? So ill-mannered, interrupting while adults are talking. How did your parents raise you?" I have to admit my mother really couldn't read the room. She kept making snide remarks on the side, completely failing to realize that shutting up was the best move at that moment. While gently comforting Sloane, I endured my father's verbal abuse toward me. My mother came over and grabbed my arm. "Come with me right now to withdraw from school. You're going home to get married." Everyone present, including me, said in unison, "Get married." My mother quickly explained, "Mom found you a good match. Your Uncle Wang's son has taken a liking to you. He paid our family $150,000 as a bride price, and promised that if you give him a big healthy son within a year, he'll get the marriage certificate with you and give us another $100,000 as a reward. So pack up quickly and come home with us. Uncle Wang is the fish bully of the village. His son has been idle and worthless since childhood, as thin as a reed swaying in the wind, and always talks in a sissy, effeminate way. Just thinking of him makes me sick." I yanked my arm free from her. "Whoever wants to marry him, marry him. I'm not going back. I want to go to school." My father slapped me hard across the face. "You're rebelling against heaven. When has this family ever let you make the decisions?" The world spun around me, and warm liquid started flowing from my nose. "So I'm a bastard? Then what does that make the two of you?" Sloane pulled me behind her, and Auntie Wang stepped in front of me. "How dare you call yourselves parents? I'm telling you, get the hell out of here now, or I'll call security." Aunt Wang's tough stance made my father feel that his authority was being challenged, so he shoved her hard, knocking her straight to the ground. "You bitch. What business do you, an outsider, have meddling in our family's affairs, Sloane?" And I hurried over to help her up. I kept apologizing, but she pulled me behind her to shield me. "With me here, you're not taking this child today. If you keep making a scene, I'll call security." My mother glared at her. "So what if I'm making a scene? She's my daughter. She does whatever I tell her to do. Who do you think you are, meddling like a dog trying to catch a mouse?" Aunt Wang took out her phone to call the security office, and my father lunged to snatch it away. As they struggled, my father punched Aunt Wang. Aunt Wang roared, "You dare hit me, I'll fight you to the death." The next second, Aunt Wang shot forward like a cannonball and knocked my dad right off his feet. My mom tried to help, but was quickly surrounded by Sloane and the other girls from the dorm. Aunt Wang charged at my dad and clawed his face all over, yelling as she scratched, "Bastard, scumbag, I'll teach you to hit women." My dad's face was a mess of scratches, and my mom was trapped in a circle of students. Neither of them was freed until the police arrived. 24 At the police station, my dad's face looked like a plate of shredded potatoes from all the scratches, but he was still defiant, slamming the table and shouting at the officer in front of him, "I'm taking my own daughter home. What right do you have to stop me?" My mom chimed in as well. "How can women in this place hit a man? You people need some proper male discipline around here." The young police officer looked calmly at my father and said slowly, "This is a police station, and you're slamming the table. Who do you think you're talking to?" Then he shot a glance at my mother and added, "What? Just because you're a woman, you deserve to be beaten by a man?" My father pointed at his scratched-up face and said, "So I just took all this scratching for nothing?" Then he turned his aim to me. "If it weren't for you, I wouldn't be dragged to a place like this right now." I stared at him calmly. "So it's my fault. You tried to force me into marriage and caused a scene at school." My father raised his hand to hit me. "You good for nothing. How dare you talk back?" I was fully prepared to let him spend a couple of days in lockup, so I had no intention of dodging. That slap never landed. Someone caught his wrist from behind. "Killian, Dad, are you trying to blow this up and get a criminal record, and then ruin my future job prospects and political review?" My dad glanced at him and reluctantly lowered his hand. Unable to do anything with his own precious son, he turned his anger on me. "Astra, you have to come back with me today." "I'm not going back. Make me go back and get married. I'd rather die." "Jinx, I've already taken their deposit. If you dare not come back, I'll beat you to death." My mom raised her eyebrows. "How dare you? Who taught you to talk to your own parents like that?" "Believe me, I'll tie you up and drag you back. I'll say this one last time, if you dare tie me up and take me back, then dare to become a widow on my wedding day, nobody will have a good life." The police officer handling the case had been watching the drama unfold for a while and finally understood what was going on. "What kind of parents are you? It's as if your daughter isn't your own child." My mother was quite brazen about it. "A married daughter is like water spilled on the ground. Of course, she won't be our family's child anymore." This kind of statement left the two police officers speechless. They stared at my parents for a long time, not knowing what to say. Just as my father reached out to pull me again, Killian suddenly shoved me. "Astra, don't think I won't hit you just because you're my sister. Since you're so full of ideas, if you have the guts, never set foot in the Sioux family's house again. Let me tell you, when I make something of myself in the future, even if you come begging at my doorstep, I won't take pity on you." He looked at me coldly. "Ungrateful wretch, consider all those years my parents raised you as wasted. From now on, our Sioux family has nothing to do with you. Get out." My mother tugged at him from behind, but he brushed her hand away. "Mom, why keep such an ungrateful wretch who can't be tamed? Wait for her to land our whole family in jail." I turned and walked away without looking back, hearing Killian and my parents arguing behind me. "How could you let her leave? I already agreed on a bride price of $250,000 with the Wang family. I don't want that ungrateful girl's money. I'll earn my own in the future." 25 In the end, my father compensated the dorm matron and apologized, which earned forgiveness from the school and the matron, leaving no criminal record, and I, with Killian's help, finally managed to escape this home. After my parents returned to their hometown, Killian came to see me. He forcefully stuffed a stack of money into my pocket. "This is my salary for this month, sister. Buy whatever you like. Don't always try to save money." I couldn't overpower him. He pinned my hands down. "You gave me all your money. How are you going to make it through the month?" Mom was afraid I'd go hungry, so she gave me living expenses before she left. "Don't worry about me." After saying that, his voice dropped. "Sorry, sis. What do you have to be sorry for? If it weren't for you, I'd probably be exchanging vows with that beanpole by now." I grabbed him by the collar, pulled him down, and patted his head. "Having a little brother like you in this life, that's pretty good." Honestly, I think you're pretty lucky to have a brother like me too. How did you get so full of yourself? What else can I do? You learn from the company you keep." 26 My college life ended, and after graduation I passed the on-campus recruitment exam and stayed on to work in the admissions office. After graduation, Killian successfully joined a defense industry company, and in the second year he married his college girlfriend because she was pregnant. My sister-in-law is a local, the only child in her family, and the apple of her parents' eye before their wedding, so that our parents wouldn't have to be around me at the ceremony. The couple took me out to a meal together, as a way for me, the elder sister, to witness where his love had found its home. I, in turn, bought a small gold lock for the little one in the belly when the first snow of the year fell in late December. My niece was born safely, learning that my sister-in-law was close to Delivery. My parents hurried over a full month in advance outside the delivery room. When the nurse came out holding the baby and announced it was a girl, my parents immediately turned hostile, cursing at my sister-in-law who was still in the operating room. Useless. How could my son have taken a liking to such a worthless thing like you, giving birth to a girl on the first try? My mother looked at the tiny life in the swaddling clothes with disgust, showing no sense of being a grandmother. What a disgrace to our Sioux family, a daughter-in-law like this. Even if she paid me, I wouldn't let her into our home. She had been a woman all her life, enduring scolding from her in-laws, yet in the end, she became just like her own mother-in-law. The two of them didn't even want to take another look at the child, focusing only on hurling insults at my sister-in-law's family. Killian tried his best to calm them down, but they instead demanded that he go to court immediately to file for divorce. Ignoring the stares of those around, my mother grabbed Killian and tried to pull him away. There are plenty of women out there. If she can't give birth to a son, I'll find you another wife who can give me a grandson. More and more onlookers gathered. I stood to the side, watching coldly as the two of them made fools of themselves with their ugly faces. My sister-in-law's father was a man of few words. He casually grabbed an four-pole and struck my father hard on the arm. My father immediately collapsed to the ground, clutching his arm and wailing in agony. Several of my sister-in-law's aunts stepped forward and started punching and kicking my mother. There were many onlookers, but no one stepped in to stop the fight. Everyone just thought they deserved it. Killian wanted to intervene, but I grabbed his wrist tightly and slapped him across the face. This was the first time I had hit him since high school, and the first time in my life I had used that much force. Killian, can't you see, if you step in to stop this today, your marriage will be over. But they're my parents. A loose tongue comes with a price. You're a father now. Surely you understand that. Are you choosing parents like these, or your own wife and daughter? You decide. Killian hesitated for a moment, then finally carried the child and followed me back to the hospital room 27. In the private hospital room, two clearly divided camps stood opposite each other. My father and mother stood by the door. My father's arm was already fixed in a splint, and my mother was disheveled, her clothes torn. My younger brother's wife and her family stood inside the room, watching the two of them with hostile stares. Killian, this is the wife you found. Not only did she give birth to a worthless girl, but they also beat your parents. Are you just going to stand there and watch? My younger brother's father-in-law, usually so amiable, said with a grim face, "If you dare call my granddaughter a worthless girl again, I'll kill you right now. Just try me." My father's lips moved, but in the end he said nothing. "Son, say something. Are you just going to stand by and let your father and me be pushed around like this?" After a long silence, Killian finally stepped forward and said, "You should go back to your hometown." "What do you mean by that? You'd rather have that good-for-nothing, rather have a daughter than your own parents. Did you learn nothing from all those years of schooling?" My mother slapped her thigh, sat down on the ground, and began her tantrum. "What did I do to deserve this? I gave birth to a son who sides with outsiders. He has a wife and forgets his mother. Why is my life so hard?" "Enough." Killian's shot stopped them both in their tracks, and they stared at him in shock. "You never treated my sister as family when we were kids, and now you want to destroy my own family. Do you want me to become just like you? So what if she's a daughter? My sister is also your daughter, and she's outstanding, but have you ever truly acknowledged her? Let me tell you, I will never have a second child. You can just give up on your dream of holding a grandson. Don't come to see the child until you've figured things out. I'm ashamed to be seen with you." The two of them stared at Killian in stunned disbelief, never imagining that their most beloved son would one day openly turn against them. In the end, the two of them slunk back to their hometown in disgrace. Killian's performance earned the approval of his younger sister in-law's family. Instead of blaming him, she became even more convinced that she had found a good man. 28. When his little niece was 3, Killian's parents began having some minor health issues. Killian discussed it with me and proposed that the elderly couple sell their fishing boat and house and come settle in the city where we live. For 3 years, my parents never came to see the child even once. It completely broke Killian's heart. "Sis, I finally understand how hard it was for you back then. Blood is thicker than water, but just because you're a girl, they really won't even come to see you." This was the first time Killian cried to me about our parents. "Mom is a woman too, and Grandma always yelled at her when she was little. How come she's turned out just like Grandma now?" He couldn't understand how such a deeply ingrained mindset could make a woman so twisted. Our parents sold the house back home and moved here. I found a relatively quiet neighborhood in the suburbs and settled them in. Killian refused to see them out of spite. He didn't even give them the new address after they moved, just sent them living expenses every month. As the new year approached, I bought some holiday supplies and went to visit them. Unsurprisingly, the moment I walked in, I was greeted by the two of them cursing at me. "What are you doing here? You've driven a wedge between me and my good son. Now he won't come see us, and he won't let us have grandchildren. We should have listened to your grandmother and thrown you into the sea, bitch. You just stand by and watch your brother walk right into the fire. You've ruined this family. Are you happy now? After my dad's arm was broken last time, it didn't heal properly, leaving lasting damage. Now he can't even raise his arm, and lifting anything heavy is a real struggle. He no longer has the strength to hit me, and I'm no longer the little girl he used to beat. Now all he and my mom can do is hurl vicious words at me. I walked straight into the room, put the things on the table, then turned back and smiled at them. I give you living expenses every month. You never go hungry or thirsty, and I even come by with gifts to see you. So how exactly am I the ungrateful one? I looked at my mom. Ever since I was born, Grandma gave you a hard time about everything. Don't you hate her for it? Look at yourself now. You're just as awful as she was back then. What's wrong with a daughter? Is having a daughter such a terrible crime? Everyone in this world was born from a woman. Did you ever hold me? Did you ever care about me? Did you ever once think about my future happiness? Did you ever treat me like family? If I could choose where I came from, do you really think I would pick parents like you? I flipped the table over in one go, sending the fruit and deli meats I'd bought tumbling to the floor. You're both old now. I suggest you behave yourselves. Otherwise, you might find that even I stop setting foot in this house, just like your son Killian, 29. After that big argument, the two of them noticeably calmed down. The outburst of the quarrel alarmed the neighbors, and the other residents in the community learned what kind of people the newly arrived elderly couple really were. No one in the entire neighborhood paid them any attention anymore. People stopped greeting them when they met, and they were completely ostracized by the whole community. Occasionally, I would still buy some things and visit them. Sometimes I saw them sitting on a bench in the community square, watching elderly people with their children nearby, their faces full of loneliness. They became much more polite to me and would ask about how Killian and I were doing. I gave them formulaic answers, unwilling to offer a shred of family affection, even though it was what they desperately craved. Killian sometimes calls me to ask about our parents, and I honestly tell him they're doing well, so he shouldn't worry. On the other end of the line, Killian just sighs. Who the hell came up with this preference for sons over daughters? Sis, if you hadn't beaten me up when we were kids, I'd probably be just like mom and dad now. I thought back to that selfish, cold-hearted Killian from my previous life, but realized I could no longer remember what he looked like. Free this weekend. Let Iris stay with me for a couple of days. Sure, she was just saying the other day how much she misses you, and begging to visit you at school. 30. In August, at the start of the school year, I received a call from one of my students. On the phone, she tearfully told me about her family situation, which was exactly like mine back in the day, making me feel as if I were seeing my younger self. I gently comforted her. Don't worry about anything. Come to school and register first. The school will figure out a way to help you. Her voice filled with emotion, as if clutching at a lifeline. Really, Professor? After I gave her my affirmative answer, she tearfully thanked me on the other end of the line. Before hanging up, I softly encouraged her, don't give up hope, young lady, the end. Story 2. My cousin is a member of a popular boy band. Alright, sis, don't be mad. My roommate happened to see me video chatting with him privately. How about this? $1 million, as a makeup for missing your birthday. Okay, to avoid unnecessary trouble, I made an excuse to leave the dorm and continued the call elsewhere. I frowned and said, you know, money can't replace being there. An hour later, I returned to the dorm. There was a long silence from the other end of the video call before Asher's sigh finally came through. My roommate said with an unreadable expression, you were on the phone for a whole hour. I casually nodded and said there was a lot going on at home, so the call ran long. My roommate's face twisted for a few seconds before they fell silent. A few days later, news of my cousin privately contacting female fans trended on social media. Before I could clear my name, my roommate threw sulfuric acid in my face. With the smell of burning flesh in the air, my roommate pushed me off the high-rise building. When I opened my eyes again, I had traveled back to the day I was video chatting with my cousin 01. Hey, why the spaced out look? Blown away by my handsome face, a deep, pleasant male voice snapped me out of my daze. I jerked my head up and looked around. It was a 4-person dorm with lofted beds and desks below, each bunk curtained off for privacy. As I scanned the room, I clearly saw the hem of Mia's curtain twitch through the gap in the curtains. My eyes locked directly with the cold, unblinking lens of the camera. I quickly averted my gaze, my heart hammering wildly in my chest. Just as I suspected, she had been watching from there for quite some time. Sis, where are you looking? I'm talking to you. Could you please pay attention? Is my face not handsome enough? My cousin's voice came again, tinged with discontent and a hint of coquetry. I turned my head and shot him an annoyed look. Can you just speak properly? My cousin is a member of a popular boy band. With his handsome looks and all-around talent in singing and dancing, he's currently one of the hottest idols in the entertainment industry. Idols, also known as idols or aideru, a Japanese loanword, are commonly referred to as idols in English. Idols are different from actors and singers. Idols sell dreams, and their careers are sustained by the love and financial support of Their fans. Engaging with fans through charming antics is actually a required skill for boy band members. Thanks to his company's training programs, my cousin has mastered the art of acting cute and coquettish as second nature. He even slips into this narcissistic mode when talking to us at home. Guess it's a professional habit now. At that thought, my fingertips began to tremble slightly. 02. My cousin is 2 years younger than me. Even as a child, his striking good looks earned him constant praise from family and friends. That's why he set his sights on becoming an idol at such a young age. After extensive professional training, he could effortlessly deliver flirtatious lines that would make others blush. In the entertainment industry, my cousin has earned the nickname Fan Service King. Whether they're women or men, young or old, in front of his cousin, they all become his favorite people. His fans often joke about it too. This has to be an AI. No real idol acts like this. The moment he opens his eyes each morning, he's already radiating charm. Oh no, I've been sweet-talked into a puddle of goo. Spread the word. Only artists like Asher are worth my money. Fortune often lurks within misfortune. My cousin may be raking in the cash, but he's attracted hordes of obsessive girlfriend fans. They won't allow him to have any close contact with female artists. Even collaborating on a stage performance with a female artist requires prepping the fans in advance. After the show, he has to go live to placate his fans. A provocative reporter asked my cousin if he ever felt suffocated. My cousin, however, was handling it quite well and answered with genuine sincerity, I owe my success to my fans. Their occasional outbursts just come from loving me too much. Perhaps caught up in the moment, my cousin became visibly emotional and made a heartfelt promise, as long as I'm still in the spotlight, I won't date or get married. My cousin's comments went viral and were used by various fans and casual observers to drag other male celebrities. After several online fan wars, my cousin ended up with even more die-hard fans. A one-on-one video call with my cousin for a signed item costs about 50,000, but you only get 2.5 minutes of talk time. That works out to about 333 yuan per second. Even so, tickets are still incredibly hard to come by. What's more, my cousin has a real knack for making fans feel valued, whether online or in person. The experience leaves you craving more. But I never could have imagined the company scamming the money was my cousin's. The one pocketing the cash was my own cousin, and in the end, I'm the one left holding the bag. 03. A rustling sound came from behind me. I knew it was Mia, unable to bear it any longer, climbing down from her bed. Just like what happened in my previous life, I had thought the dorm was empty, which was why I called my cousin. My cousin is quite narcissistic, and his professional habits are a bit overbearing. He's always been very close to me. He often speaks without any sense of boundaries or propriety. I'm always careful to never initiate contact with him to avoid unnecessary complications. Being a celebrity's family member, I value my privacy a lot. I don't want to publicize my relationship with my cousin and get stared at like a circus animal everywhere I go, and it's not like I'm getting paid for it. My cousin reached out to me this time to discuss plans for our grandmother's 70th birthday celebration. I hadn't been talking long when I realized someone was in the dorm room while she was climbing down the ladder. I picked up my phone and covered the screen. Sorry, Mia. I didn't know you were sleeping. I'll go outside to take this call. No worries. You can keep talking. Mia's voice was a bit hoarse. No need. I'll step outside to make the call. With that, I gave her a polite smile and hurried out with my phone. After finishing my discussion with my cousin and returning to the dorm, the moment I opened the door, I saw Mia staring straight at me. When she saw me return, she glanced down at her phone before looking up again. She remarked with unclear implications, "Did that call really take an hour?" I gave a slight smile and said, "It's been a while since we last spoke, and there's been a lot going on at home, so the conversation ran longer than expected." After hearing my explanation, Mia nodded and went back to scrolling through her phone. Just as I thought the matter was settled and had returned to my seat, she suddenly spoke up. "Juniper, I remember you mentioned your brother was struggling in some subjects and needed a tutor. As it happens," I cut her off. "Mia, you've got it wrong. I'm an only child. It's Ruby who has a brother." Mia's face contorted for a moment before she quickly forced a smile. "Oh, seems like I remembered wrong," but judging by her expression, it didn't look like a simple case of faulty memory at all. Still, I didn't pay it much mind. Putting on my headphones and casually opening a short video to scroll through, the moment I unlocked my phone, there was a fan recording of my cousin at his book signing event. He was sweet-talking a fan. "You're my absolute favorite. Sis, how about you? Am I your favorite person?" My cheek twitched. I was about to swipe past when I noticed Mia standing behind me with her water bottle. "Wow, Juniper, do you like Asher too?" Her voice was so high-pitched it made my ears ring. I took off my headphones, turned to face Mia, and shook my head. "No, I just happened to come across it, to distance myself from my cousin." I added another remark. "So that's Asher. I've heard my classmates talk about him, but I never connected the name to a face." Mia let out a dry chuckle, gave me a casual nod, and turned to fill her cup at the water cooler. 04. For the next 2 days, Mia and I didn't exchange another word. She kept her head down scrolling through her phone during class and in the dorm. Her fingers moving so fast they practically blurred on the third day, while scrolling through my phone during lunch. I saw a topic trending explosively. I tapped on it and was immediately met with a video. In the frame, my profile and Asher's face on the phone screen were both clearly visible. The audio was equally clear. My voice carried a hint of displeasure. "Don't tell me you're going to leave me on read again," Asher started with his usual placating tone. "All right. I'll request the company to postpone the brand event on the 13th of next month by 2 days. I'll definitely make it back this time." The latter part of the video contained an audio recording. It was the audio clip where I mentioned being an only child and stated that I didn't know Asher. Finally, there were also a few old photos of Asher accompanying me shopping and carrying my bags. The photo isn't exactly high definition, but you can clearly make out my face and Asher wearing a mask and hat. After closing the video, I saw the caption written by the gossip account, "Submission, Asher is such a fraud, he's clearly got a girlfriend, but still acts like some innocent virgin." Funny enough, 2 years ago when I was shopping at SKP with my boyfriend, I actually spotted Asher secretly hanging out with my roommate. Can't believe they're still together this year, and I caught them red-handed. I literally watched him video call my roommate for 5 whole minutes. After I found out, my roommate sneaked out to keep talking with him for another hour. Talking so intimately and still pretending to be strangers. What, is it fun to play with fans' emotions through a secret relationship? P.S. Asher's girlfriend doesn't fit in at all. The whole dorm can't stand her. Probably thinks dating a celebrity makes her one too. The comments section is a mix of angry rants and skeptical questions. Peel away the lip and it's still a first kiss. Peel away the skin and still a virgin. Just another day of Asher's fans getting proven wrong. Men really are all trash. Asher, give us our money back. What if they know each other? Could be relatives or friends. Seriously, do you pamper your friends and family by carrying their bags and then hand them $1 million as an apology for missing their birthday? Asher, when you call me sister, are you thinking of me, the one who spends money on you, or her, the one you actually want by your side? Just an observer here, but the girl in the video is stunning. It's no surprise Asher likes her. What guy wouldn't be drawn to a beauty like that? Get lost with that nonsense. Asher is perfect on his own. That video is definitely AI generated, and the photos are clearly edited. I stand by Asher. The moment I saw the message, I called Asher first to have him prepare a clarification, then I hurriedly finished my meal and rushed back to the dorm to find Mia. It was obvious that Mia had already been awake that day, and had even recorded it. I need to find her and get everything straightened out. Who would have thought that upon opening the door, I'd be greeted by Ruby's cold sneer and a bottle of concentrated sulfuric acid. The moment the pungent liquid made contact with my skin, a sizzling sound erupted. I instinctively covered my face with my hands, but it was futile against the acid's corrosive assault. In the blink of an eye, the skin on my hands was already being eaten away. The searing pain from my lacerated flesh made my head spin. My lips were burned, swollen and cracked, oozing blood as I let out muffled whimpers from my throat. In my dazed state, I heard Ruby's shrill scream cutting through the haze. Mia told me everything. Juniper, you two-faced bitch. Do you have any idea how much I paid just to see Asher? How come you get to video call him for free while he actually pays you? I wanted to explain, but I was too badly hurt to speak. Ruby was heavy-set and much stronger than me. She kept yelling insults while kicking me. Got a thing for your sister-in-law. Ha, keep dreaming in your next life. Ruby dragged me to the dorm balcony edge like I was a dead dog. You fucking bitch, die. I was shoved off the high-rise and splattered on the ground like roadkill. I wasn't even given a chance to explain myself the entire time. 05. Perhaps my previous death was too full of resentment and humiliation. I've been given a second chance at life. Remembering the sensationalized headlines from my past life, my expression turned cold. I'm not much of a social butterfly, but I always respond politely when someone strikes up a conversation with me. Little did I know that others saw my solitude as aloofness and arrogance. The rustling sounds behind me grew increasingly louder. Unlike my previous panicked retreat in a past life, I calmly ended the call with my cousin. Something's come up. Let's talk later. I've got to go. Hey, wait. I hung up before Asher could get another word in. My abruptness made Mia pause midway down the ladder. She turned her head directly toward me, her contorted expression meeting my gaze head-on. Seeing me staring at her without blinking, her expression quickly returned to normal. Juniper, who were you just talking to? She climbed down the ladder, slipped on her slippers, and gave me a strained smile. With my brother. Wait, aren't you an only child? How come you have a younger brother? So she did remember correctly. She knew I was an only child. That means, in my past life, she was deliberately trying to get information out of me. He's my cousin, I replied curtly. Her expression froze for a split second, but she didn't say another word. She just gave a casual nod. When she remained silent, I unlocked my phone and started Scrolling through videos, just like in my past life, the first thing that popped up was Asher's book signing event. Mia walked past me as usual, using the excuse of getting water from the dispenser. Wow, Juniper, do you like Asher too? I shook my head. No, he's just my cousin. At my response, Mia's eye twitched twice before she burst into exaggerated laughter. Juniper, I always thought you were pretty aloof. But I never knew you had such a sense of humor. If Asher were my cousin, then Eamon would be my husband. 06 Every popular celebrity in the entertainment industry has their fair share of rivals. Eamon is Asher's rival. His personality and public persona are completely different from Asher's. Asher excels at pandering to fans, whether they ask him to call them sis, babe, wifey, hubby, or anything else. Once he gets familiar with someone, he's open to adopting all kinds of personas. Meanwhile, Eamon has built his image around being a straight guy who's awkward around women. No matter how fans flirt with him, he always claps back with unfiltered sass, yet some people totally eat it up. His fans feel secure, convinced that his apparent gynophobia means he'd never casually date, but is that really the case? I found myself revisiting the leaked expose once again. Mia's boyfriend, 2 years ago. Both Asher and Eamon were just starting out and still relatively unknown. We did run into each other while shopping at SKP. Unlike Asher and me, Eamon, banking on his obscurity, didn't even bother with a mask or hat. While the woman beside him was fully geared up, there was no telling who she was. It was just a fleeting glimpse from afar. Perhaps because they both had company, they tacitly understood not to approach each other for small talk. Little did I know then that over the next 2 years, Asher would skyrocket to fame. I didn't give it much thought at the time. Little did I know it would later come back to haunt me, just like Mia probably never imagined those four words, my boyfriend, subtly flaunting their relationship in the, would end up being a dagger aimed right at her. I wouldn't have connected her to Eamon otherwise. Well, she brought it on herself by blurting it out. 07 Clearly, Mia wasn't buying that. Asher and I were just cousins. I'm serious. We really are cousins. His mom is my aunt. Mia was clearly having none of it. Juniper, the way you crack jokes with such a straight face is absolutely adorable. I was starting to get impatient. They'd rather believe I'm Asher's girlfriend than accept I'm his cousin. What's wrong with people? If it doesn't make sense, then let's just drop it. Mia, when I turned my head just now, I thought I saw a camera peeking through the gap in your bed curtain. Seeing me lay it all out so bluntly, Mia's smile froze on her face, as if she'd been caught red-handed, and her voice suddenly turned sharp. What do you mean, Juniper? What are you implying? Her once innocent and beautiful face contorted with emotion. Once again, I sneered. I mean, were you just trying to take pictures of me without my permission? Her voice shot up an octave. How dare you accuse me of that? No doubt about it. Absolutely certain. Seeing how calm I remained, Mia's emotions settled down as well. She stopped trying to justify herself and instead looked me up and down with a mocking expression. What are you so guilty about? Don't tell me you've got something to hide. I'm not going to show you my phone just because you're suspicious. Without giving me a chance to respond, Mia stormed out. 08 After she left, I locked the dorm room door and called Asher again. Why did you hang up so abruptly just now? Asher crossed his arms, turned his face away, and pouted slightly. He looked like he wouldn't forgive me unless I coaxed him. I felt a wave of exasperation. Sometimes it's no wonder people get the wrong idea, honestly. Asher is completely lost in his own artistic world. All right, be serious now. I need your help. Have someone look into the women Eamon has been dating these past few years. Asher looked slightly taken aback. Why are you suddenly looking into this? I took a deep breath and laid out everything that had happened in my past life, including the fact that I had been reborn. As I recounted the events, Asher's expression turned grim. After a long pause, he finally spoke in a strained voice. Sis, are you saying the person who threw sulfuric acid on you in your past life was named Ruby? Asher pulled out his backup phone and pulled up a photo he had taken. Ruby's face was circled in orange marker. Is this the girl? I was taken aback. You know her? Asher remained silent for a long moment before speaking, as if the words were difficult to get out. I wouldn't say I know her. More like I'd recognize her even if she were reduced to ashes. 09 I rarely discuss my college days with Asher, and he seldom shares stories from his work life with me either. Our occasional conversations mostly revolve around family members we have in common, so this was actually news to me. My roommate Ruby turns out to be Asher's obsessive stalker fan. Her accomplishments include, but are not limited to, installing a tracking device on Asher's car during his private travels, sneaking into Asher's hotel and handing him a towel right after his shower. She secretly took the half-empty water bottle that Asher had been drinking from. She slept in Asher's bed while he was away and sent him a video of it. On Asher's birthday, she left a cake and a card in his room. The cake had a few bites taken out of it. That's seriously creepy. However, Ruby's actions didn't cause Asher any tangible harm. Her family has some connections. As a result, despite Asher filing multiple police reports, they all came to nothing for various reasons. You'd think that with Ruby being so obsessed with Asher, she would have tried every possible way to learn about all his relationships. How could they not know about my relationship with Asher? 10 I immediately booked a hotel off campus without delay. Both Mia and Ruby are trouble. Before dealing with them, I need to ensure my absolute safety. Coincidentally, just as I reached the school gate, I ran right into Ruby, facing my nemesis from a past life. My entire body trembled uncontrollably. Ruby stands at 173 centimeters tall and weighs around 170 pounds. She really stands out among other girls. In a direct confrontation, I'd be completely defenseless. I forced down my emotions and raised a hand to greet her. Even before today, Ruby's attitude toward me was far from normal. There was a period when she was incredibly warm toward me, constantly insisting we become best friends. She treated me to Japanese cuisine, seafood, Michelin-starred restaurants. We sampled everything from east to west. Every meal came with a hefty price tag. What's more, she never failed to bring me back generous gifts from her travels. To return the favor, I gifted her several luxury handbags: Louis Vuitton, Dior, Chanel, Miu Miu. I went through the whole roster, but the money was the least of it. Ruby kept calling me sweetheart every other sentence during that period. She insisted on tagging along everywhere I went, even to the bathroom or meals. It made me incredibly uncomfortable. I'm not really into intense friendships. Over-the-top enthusiasm feels like a burden to me, because it means I have to reciprocate with the same level of intensity as someone who's naturally low-key. Forcing myself to be overly enthusiastic is downright painful. At that time, I really wanted to change the way Ruby and I interacted with each other. It's fine to be close, but I prefer relationships that develop slowly and steadily. Being emotionally charged every single moment feels like torture to me. Just as I was struggling to find the right words to explain things to Ruby, her attitude toward me suddenly turned cold. Instead, I grew closer to Mia. I felt a bit down about it, but soon enough, I slipped back into my usual routine. I didn't let that brief relationship affect me for long. Over the next few months, Ruby was hot and cold with me. Sometimes she'd even throw sharp remarks out of nowhere, leaving me completely baffled. I just assumed she was emotionally volatile. Looking back now, Mia might have said something to her. Ruby's behavior is extreme, and her emotions are all over the place, yet Mia managed to maintain a long-term friendly relationship with her. They must have something in common. A sudden realization flashed through my mind. 11. After I greeted her, Ruby gave me a couple of distant smiles. She showed no particular reaction, her expression unchanged. Clenching my fist discreetly, I mustered the courage to stop her. Ruby, I need to tell you something. You have to keep it between us. Don't share it with anyone. Everyone loves a good piece of gossip. Ruby stopped and leaned in closer. What is it? I promise I won't tell anyone. I found out Mia is dating a male celebrity named Eamon. Ruby chuckled. Since you're not into celebrity culture, you might not get it. Mia is his fan, and fans often jokingly claim their favorite male stars as their boyfriends. It's not because of that. I've seen the two of them together, and they were acting very intimate. Ruby's smile faded from her face. I have something to take care of. I need to go. With that, she turned and left without a moment's hesitation. After a brief glance at Ruby's retreating figure, I hurried off to the hotel. Once we got to the room, I immediately shared Asher's WeChat contact with Ruby. At the same time, I sent her a message. By the way, Ruby, I happened to hear from Mia today that you like Asher, so he's the celebrity you've been following all this time. Why didn't you tell me earlier? He's actually my cousin. If I'd known, I could have connected you 2 ages ago. Instead of responding with enthusiasm to my initiative, Ruby asked me a question. Did Mia tell you? Yeah. But she said you're different from her and told me not to bring it up around you. She probably said that because she didn't know Asher and I are related. A few minutes passed before Ruby finally replied. Does Asher know? I smirked and quickly typed. You've always been kind to me, Ruby. I tend to keep to myself, so it's rare for someone to show me such warmth. That's why I want to do something for you. Asher knows about this, and surprisingly he even knows you, but he seemed hesitant. Maybe there's some misunderstanding between you. I told him you have a good heart. You just sometimes struggle to express kindness in the right way. My words were met with a long silence. It took half an hour before Ruby finally replied to me. I never realized you understood me so well. I've always understood some of your choices, but I used to feel too awkward to bring it up. It's been weighing on me for a long time, and I finally found the right moment to tell you today. Of course I know her well. Ruby is completely self-absorbed. She only cares about whether her own emotional needs are being met. Besides, she probably doesn't want anyone to know about her crush on Asher. Otherwise, given her flamboyant and outgoing personality, she'd want the whole world to know, but she didn't. Not only was I unaware, but none of the other girls in the college knew either. Frankly, if her extreme actions had accidentally blown up, anyone would have called her insane. 12. Asher and I invested significant time and resources into investigating Mia, Ruby, and Eamon. Honestly, sis, while I make money easily, a lot of it is compensation for emotional distress. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't want to spend a dime on Ruby. Asher sounded rather resentful while paying the private investigator. After all the harassment she's put you through, you don't even want to dig up every last detail about her. Asher shook his head. No, with people like her, the more attention I give, the more she might get off on it. He sighed again. Dealing with her fake pleasantries on WeChat these past 2 days has been utterly draining. Faced with his plea for sympathy. I chose to ignore it. The big picture is what matters. If the price is right, a lot of things can't withstand scrutiny. Eamon is indeed dating Mia, but their relationship is on and off. The private investigator obtained a surveillance video from the underground parking garage. This happened just the other day. In the video, Eamon and Mia are having an argument. Mia, perhaps feeling deeply insecure, was tugging at Eamon's sleeve and crying, "Do we really have to get rid of the baby?" Eamon sounded annoyed. "What else did you expect? You're the one who secretly stopped taking the pills." Mia's voice was faint. "Taking too much medication isn't good for your health, and an abortion is better for you." Eamon reached out and patted Mia's head, as if struggling to contain his irritation. "Can't you just behave?" But then Mia suddenly broke down emotionally. "Why do I always have to be the one to compromise? We're both in relationships, but Asher treats Juniper so much better." As she spoke, Mia showed Eamon the video she had secretly recorded. "See how Asher is the one being affectionate with Juniper. He never gets impatient with her." Eamon crossed his arms, his brow furrowed deeply. "Didn't your friend Ruby say they were cousins?" Mia put away her phone and pursed her lips. "Ruby's information isn't always reliable. Maybe Asher's just trying to muddy the waters. After all, your fans still think I'm your obsessive stalker." Eamon's brow furrowed even deeper. "I can't bring myself to do such effeminate things." "What does she even see in Asher? The guy has zero masculinity. Asher's professional skills are inferior to mine in every way. He's only slightly more popular because he knows how to grovel and sweet-talk women." Seeing Eamon veer off topic, Mia reacted even more intensely. "Is that really the point? You keep telling me we come from different backgrounds, so I should be the one making allowances for you. What about Asher? He's even more famous than you, yet he's willing to put his ego aside to comfort his girlfriend. Why can't you do the same?" By the end of her outburst, Mia was sobbing uncontrollably, gasping for breath between tears. "Why is it that other girlfriends get so much emotional support from their boyfriends, while with us, I'm always the one comforting you? You won't even bother using protection." At this, Eamon just ran his fingers through his hair in frustration. "Fine, let's break up then. Go find Asher. See if he even wants you." The video cut off abruptly. I was left speechless, a lump in my throat. No wonder they're so good at dating. No wonder Mia managed to date a male celebrity. I had no idea Mia was such a tolerant woman. After these brief reflections, I opened the other folders sent by the private detective. The file contains past image and text materials. As expected, Mia is also seen as a satiating fan in the eyes of Eamon's followers. She's even the kind that gets universally shunned within Eamon's fandom. It was their shared identity as obsessive fans that made Mia so close with Ruby. While Ruby was harassing Asher, Mia would also show Ruby photos of her visits to Eamon's place. The difference is, Ruby went to the artist's room purely to harass them. Mia went to the artist's room to work out with the artist. Reading this made me realize Mia definitely has issues too. She's been secretly competing with me, and with Ruby too. Whenever she feels emotionally rejected by me, she seeks comfort from Ruby, because in her eyes, Ruby is even more pitiful than she is. Perhaps this bizarre affair dynamic gives Mia some kind of mental climax. I don't get it, and I'm not going to pretend to respect it. 13. Well, I made it to the trending list after all. The hashtag Asher secret romance is sitting at the top of the charts. The video is still the one Mia shot, but this time the separate audio segment at the end is missing. The ending still shows the same secretly taken photos from before. I opened the comments section expecting to see fans and casual viewers going at it, but to my surprise, the top comment was from Asher, charm prodigies Asher Bin. "This is my cousin. Like, her mom is my actual aunt. The birthday mentioned in the video is my grandma's birthday, and the money was for her to give to my grandma. Why is there secret filming and false rumors? Who's trying to sabotage me?" Unlike the previous timeline, this time the comments section was filled with Asher's fans making inside jokes, with only a few casual viewers chiming in. Who on earth did our Asher cross? Who's trying to sabotage him? Just who? Judging by the camera angle, that must be the cousin's roommate, that little witch. If you're jealous of my man's cousin, just say it. Stop playing these mind games. You have no idea how redeemed I felt as an Asher fan, clicking in only to see the man himself debunking the rumors. I'll gladly take the handsome Asher, I'll gladly take the gorgeous cousin, and I'll gladly take all of Asher's fans too. An old monk moved in upstairs. Meanwhile, Asher's statement once again topped the trending charts. Hashtag Asher, who's really trying to sabotage me? Hashtag, unlike the meme-filled comment sections, clicking into the trending topic revealed ongoing heated debates. Look who's feeling important again. Nobody cares about you, but with your annual subscription to trending topics, even a pig would go viral. Some creatures claim no one cares, yet they're always the first to pounce on Asher-related news, faster than his actual fans. Asher must have a Persecution complex. Is he teaming up with his cousin for clout? Disgusting. To all you trolls trashing Asher on trending lists, better keep your identities hidden, unless you want his fans exposing your faves. Such a trivial matter is trending. These celebrities are a national disgrace. Sorry, my husband Asher's fame is blinding you, just deal with it. The moment I closed Weibo, my WeChat exploded with notifications. Not just the girl who'd secretly shared gossip with me earlier, other female classmates and department mates were all messaging me too. Even classmates I'd added through various events ages ago were all messaging me, whether we were close or barely acquainted. They all came swarming in at once. Wait, you're actually Asher's cousin. Girl, why didn't you tell me sooner? Do you have WeChat contacts for the other guys in Asher's group? Not gonna lie, my ultimate bias is actually the fifth member, Juniper. I was just scrolling through Weibo and saw Asher calling you his cousin. Am I dreaming? Sorry if this is forward, but Asher is actually your cousin. I knew this would happen. Some people are perfectly fine with this kind of enthusiasm, but for someone like me who dislikes socializing and prefers to stay in my own shell, it's truly a hassle. Amid the bustling message list, two people stood out for their unusual silence, Mia and Ruby. I pretended to accidentally forward the files the detective had sent me to Ruby, and casually sent a message. Asher, I told you I felt like someone was secretly taking pictures of me that day. It was Mia after all. This is the information I had someone look up before about Eamon and Mia's relationship. I suspect Mia is framing us like this to clear obstacles for her darling boyfriend in the entertainment industry, or maybe she's just bitter. Either way, we're the ones who end up suffering. Can you imagine if our relatives saw this? At Grandma's birthday this year, they'd never let us hear the end of it. Half an hour later, I finally pretended to notice and replied to Ruby. Ruby, I'm so sorry, your profile picture looks just like Asher's. I didn't even realize it was you. Ruby never replied. 14 Asher is the top salesperson at their company, and the rest of the staff are no slouches either. The surveillance footage of Eamon and Mia chatting in the underground parking garage went viral at the same time. Past photos and posts where Mia was criticized by Eamon's fans for being assassin also trended online. Hashtag not assassin but his girlfriend hashtag who told you to skip your meds. In secret, hashtag Eamon, Asher falls short of me in every professional skill hashtag go ask Asher then, see if he even wants you hashtag female college student exposes roommate dating male celebrity, gets debunked instead hashtag Eamon's girlfriend suspected to be pregnant hashtag today is probably the most talked about day for Eamon since his debut. 8 out of the top 10 trending searches are about him. He's the first person in history to so unapologetically demand his girlfriend get an abortion. He's the first person I've seen who still manages to trash-talk his colleagues while arguing with his girlfriend. When you click through to browse the various entries, Asher's fans are absolutely formidable in their fervor. No wonder my husband said someone was out to get him. My heart aches for my completely innocent husband. Just curious, Eamon, is your heart as small as the eye of a needle? Eamon is a complete scumbag, everyone. Check out Eamon's off-key performance. His pitch went all the way to the moon, yet he still has the nerve to claim he's professionally skilled. I wish I could live as shamelessly as Eamon for once. All our Asher did was avoid toxic masculinity. What's wrong with being affectionate and knowing how to comfort people? Besides Asher's fans crying foul, it also drew quite a few spectators just here for the drama. The jealousy here is so masculine, they should add the male radical to the Chinese characters for jealousy. This cousin really got caught in the crossfire for no reason. Moreover, no matter which trending hashtag it is, Eamon's fans keep relentlessly demanding you pay back the money. Eamon, pay up. Eamon, do you have any conscience after all the extravagant support we've given you? I thought you said you were afraid of women. Turns out you're only afraid of me, your own fan. You pathetic excuse of a man. Where was all that pride when I was spending money on you? Eamon, you're not even fit to be called a man. A few die-hard Eamon fans were still relentlessly hurling insults at Mia. Just die already, Mia. What's the point of pretending to be a Sacying fan? So this is why you two never use protection. You were using your fans as condoms all along. That video has to be AI generated. We demand justice for Eamon. May that bitch Mia drop dead. 15. Just as I was browsing trending topics for sarcasm tutorials, another piece of good news hit the trending charts. Hashtag Eamon's new girlfriend attacked in broad daylight hashtag. My fingers trembled as I clicked on the link. The footage was from the coffee shop's security camera. In the video, Mia and Ruby appeared to be arguing. As the argument reached its peak, Ruby pulled a bottle of concentrated sulfuric acid from her Louis Vuitton bag and hurled it directly at Mia. Mia's delicate and beautiful face was instantly disfigured. Her cream-colored dress was rapidly eaten through by the acid, exposing skin that had been burned beyond recognition. Blood mixed with sulfuric acid pooled on the ground, forming a horrifying puddle of liquid, as if That wasn't enough. Ruby kept swinging her handbag at Mia again and again. All the while, she kept muttering under her breath. The injured Mia was defenseless. Just like I had been in my previous life, she staggered a few steps and collapsed to the ground. The cafe had few customers at the time, and Ruby was acting completely unhinged. Even after Mia passed out, hardly anyone dared to step in and stop it, though hesitant. They all gathered around, each person visibly torn and uncertain. It wasn't until the manager showed up that everyone rushed in together to put a stop to Ruby's outburst. Exit the video and scroll down the page. An eyewitness uploaded a video. The conversation between the two was crystal clear in the video. "Mia, are you making a fool out of me?" Ruby's voice was piercingly sharp. A look of clear disdain flashed across Mia's pale face. She admired her nails for a moment before speaking slowly. "You don't even like Eamon, so whether I'm his illegitimate child or his girlfriend, it's really none of your business." Ruby let out a bitter laugh. "If you had told me from the beginning, I would never have become friends with you. Do you get some kind of kick out of toying with me like this?" Mia looked somewhat confused. "It's not like I'm trying to steal your man. I just told you one little white lie. Is it really that big of a deal? Ruby, can you please get a grip? This is exactly the kind of extreme behavior that makes Asher call the police on you all the time. How many times do I have to tell you, to win a man's heart, you need to indulge him and go along with his whims, but you just do whatever you want without any restraint. No wonder Asher can't stand you." Though Mia's words sounded heartfelt, they carried a condescending tone, and she kept pushing every one of Ruby's buttons. I shook my head. Mia's situation was different from mine. In my past life, Ruby never even gave me a chance to explain. After being friends for so long, Ruby clearly expected an apology from Mia. If Mia had shown even half the patience with Ruby that she did with Eamon, she wouldn't have ended up in such a sorry state. What happened next was all captured on the security footage. Even while hitting Mia with her purse, Ruby kept hurling insults. "Asher doesn't hate me at all. You bitch. Serves you right that your darling boyfriend made you get an abortion. Let's see if he still wants you after your face gets ruined. I could crush a slut like you as easily as stepping on an ant. Who do you think you are? What's with the attitude? You disgusting piece of trash." 16. The hashtag is trending again. Fans and casual observers alike are bewildered and panicked, with everyone offering different opinions. Wasn't the attacker that notorious Sassing from our fandom? Asher had filed police reports against her multiple times. I can't believe she'd go this far. My heart aches for my brother. To think he had to deal with such a terrifying woman. Women really need to be strong. It gives you at least some ability to protect yourself when danger comes. If I'm not mistaken, Mia just had an abortion. That's enough. I'm actually starting to feel sorry for her. Are there any normal women left in this world? They're actually getting this jealous over some male celebrity they don't even know. Makes me wish we could go back to the days when women lived by their husband's word. Has Tinley even saved up enough for the bride price before barking like a mad dog among the Eamon fans who previously insulted Mia? Some were applauding with glee, while others expressed regret and sympathy. Even so, Mia didn't deserve this. Mia had it coming. She brought this on herself by provoking unstable people. No matter what others think, it doesn't make the slightest difference to Mia and Ruby's situation right now. There's no escaping a single bit of the suffering and pain they're destined to endure. Mia was admitted to the ICU. She was severely injured, and even after multiple treatments, her appearance remains horrifying. She has been assessed with a severe disability above level 6. Ruby's premeditated assault in public severely disrupted social order and sparked widespread public outrage, which should have resulted in a sentence of over 10 years, but her family pulled some strings and managed to produce a mental illness diagnosis. Ruby was forcibly committed to a psychiatric hospital. Some people always treat mental illness as a get-out-of-jail-free card, thinking it solves everything. Honestly, Ruby would have been better off in prison. In a way, it's safer there. No one gets in or out, but a psychiatric hospital is a different story. 17. When news broke that Mia had sneaked into the psychiatric hospital and stabbed Ruby 128 times, I finally breathed a sigh of relief. By then, Eamon had long been forced out of the industry, and I heard Mia's family had been hounding him for answers, though they claimed to seek answers. What they really wanted was financial compensation, but Eamon was already cleaned up from paying breach of contract penalties. How could he possibly have spare cash for anyone else? The follow-up revenge by his ex-girlfriend Mia against Ruby didn't cause much of a stir online. It merely occupied an insignificant corner of the news. The headline read, "Disfigured woman infiltrates mental hospital, stabs enemy 128 times in frenzied attack on the day Mia was sent to prison." I made a point of opening a bottle of champagne. The past is dark and irretrievable, but the road ahead shines bright and clear. To new beginnings, free from all the drama. Story 2. I'm the true fox princess who is lost to the world. On my return to the palace, my so-called brother greeted me with sneers. A common street urchin dares call herself my sister, a princess of the fox royal clan. In your dreams, he shielded the lavishly dressed girl behind him as if I'd devour her alive. Mina is the only sister in my heart. Don't you dare covet what's rightfully hers. The next Instant, Father King smacked my so-called brother's head with his fist. You wretched imposter, you're the one who was switched at birth. I'm the true Fox Clan princess who was lost to the world. On the day I returned home, only my twin brother Veron stood at the palace gates, perched on the highest step. He eyed me like I was gutter filth. What gutter rat dares trespass in the royal palace? He sneered. You think wearing decent clothes makes you a princess? Mina is the only sister in my heart. Don't you dare covet what belongs to her. His words left me utterly speechless. I couldn't be bothered to argue with this idiot and tried to brush past him, but he suddenly grabbed my wrist with brutal force. The idiot's grip was crushing my bones. Who said you could leave? Veron's voice suddenly sharpened. With the king absent, I am the crown prince. This palace answers to me. How dare some bastard of unknown lineage turn his back on royalty? I twisted free from his grasp. Is this how a Crown Prince abuses his power? No wonder the Fox clan is declining. How dare you? Without royal lineage, you're but a commoner. Kneel before your sovereign, or I'll feed you to the palace beasts this instant. The surrounding servants had already prostrated themselves in terror, their heads hung so low they nearly touched the ground, not daring to even breathe loudly. This pitiful display revealed exactly how he'd been throwing his weight around all along. I took half a step forward, forcing him to instinctively retreat. Cato, I let out a derisive chuckle, soft, yet every syllable razor-sharp. Save it for when you actually claim the Fox clan's throne. His fox tail snapped open with a swish, only to recoil from the golden light radiating from me. How could someone with such weak spiritual power block my attack? Veron bristled with rage, his white fur standing on end as icy glints flashed in his eyes. Big bro, if you suck, just practice more. Father returns in 3 days. We'll discuss any matters after his arrival. Today, I'm merely here by royal decree to attend the banquet. Veron snorted contemptuously. I heard the 9th prince of the Wolf clan is attending. You'd best curb your vulgar temper and avoid trouble. Are you describing yourself, brother? That temper of yours is truly uncouth, hardly fit for polite company. With that, I turned and walked away. Ignoring his furious roars behind me, out of the corner of my eye, I saw him kick over the bronze lampstand. Sparks scattered across the white marble floor, mirroring his barely contained rage. I strode through the wreckage with my back straight and head held high. I'm Lyra. Grew up running the streets with 9th brother since I was knee-high. He's got the most skilled hands on this block. From simple copper locks on commoners' doors to elaborate glass lanterns in tavern halls, nothing remained broken under the deft touch of his slender fingers. I'd always crouch beside him, passing tools while watching him squint as he polished copper sheets. Little lass, that spiritual energy of yours can't stay hidden, 9th brother would often mutter while filing golden wires. True nobility can't stay hidden forever, it'll show through sooner or later. I thought he was just pulling my leg again. I just waved my hand and fiddled with the newly repaired bronze bell. 9th brother's talking nonsense again. What nobility, if we had any? We'd be living the high life already. 9th brother remained silent, merely offering a faint smile. Then one day, a gilded carriage pulled up in front of our shabby stall. Out stepped a man in brocade robes with cloud patterns. His bearing instantly marked him as someone of importance. He didn't even glance at our wares, just jerked his chin at me. The moment his fingertips brushed my wrist, my spiritual energy surged like a lit fuse, looking to die. Only later did I learn that those capable of gauging spiritual power so effortlessly must be at least elder ranked within the clan. No mistake, this is royal bloodline. He withdrew his hand, his tone carrying unshakable conviction. Your Highness, please return to the palace with me. He spoke with utmost deference. My mind exploded with a deafening roar. Suddenly, 9th brother's warnings I'd dismissed as jokes came rushing back. He once probed my spiritual energy like this too. Turns out he was no ordinary commoner at all. But before I could grab him for a proper explanation, when I turned back, the familiar bamboo stool behind the stall stood empty. Only a tarnished old bronze mirror remained. It lay quietly on the freshly cleaned wooden board. The reflective surface showed my startled face. Just like that, I was brought back, but royalty would never allow their bloodline to wander astray. When my father found me, he said fragments of my soul had been stolen. That's why both my appearance and spiritual powers were suppressed. He needed 3 days to restore what was taken. So Elder Fan and I returned ahead of the others, but we were ambushed along the way, and I fled alone until I reached a cave. That night, heavy snow fell as I shivered violently in my thin clothing. In the freezing cave that night, I sat clutching the old bronze mirror 9th brother had left me. 9th brother, I'm starting to miss you. I don't want to be a princess anymore. Then I passed out, and when I came to, I was enveloped in golden armor. From that moment on, no attack could so much as scratch me. I initially thought bandits had emerged due to lax security in those mountain woods. Someone in this palace doesn't want me back. 2. Elder Fan reported to me at the banquet entrance. Your Highness, the Wolf clan prince will arrive shortly. This old minister must oversee the banquet preparations. We cannot afford any mishaps. Elder Fan bowed respectfully. The once-in-a-decade royal banquet approaches, with nobles and dignitaries gathering in full force. Even the neighboring Wolf clan's prince will be in attendance. The Fox clan elders are all cunning schemers, vying For power and prestige. Since father's departure from the palace, only Elder Fan remains trustworthy, leaving him swamped with responsibilities. Elder, please make yourself at home. I turned and entered the courtyard. The banquet was crowded, and I sought a quiet corner to avoid attention. No sooner had I sat down than Veyron approached with a retinue of noble scions. You dare show your face here? What an embarrassment to the Fox clan. He looked down his nose as derisive laughter erupted from the surrounding crowd. Veyron, this sister bears no resemblance to Mina. Are they truly twins? Indeed, it looks rather mediocre. I adjusted my sleeves and swept a glance across them. How leisurely you young masters appear. Whether I'm a princess or not, I remain Elder Fan's honored guest. You self-proclaimed nobles who pride yourselves on etiquette show less courtesy than my common-bred dog Huine. At least he wags his tail when greeting visitors. At these words, the young masters turned. Ashen-faced Veyron bellowed, "How dare you show such insolence to your sovereign?" His booming voice instantly silenced the banquet hall. Every eye in the room snapped toward my utterly ordinary, magically feeble face. Who's this? Heard she's some long-lost princess. Princess Mina's own sister. They're nothing alike. Probably an imposter. The king hasn't returned yet. Who knows if she's legit? And she dares to defy the crown prince. She's got a death wish. The whispers from the ladies gallery pricked like needles, and cursed with sharp ears. I cut every word. I had intended to wait for my father the king's return before making any decisions. Damn that Veyron, what an insufferable fool. You're not even in the royal registry, just a commoner. Insulting the crown prince's treason. An elder clad in white robes emerged from the crowd, clearly favoring Veyron, a capital offense. I arched my brow. Pray tell, elder, which law does it violate? The white-robed elder choked on his words before raising his staff in humiliated fury. Disrespect toward the crown prince constitutes treason against the throne. By law, the punishment is, what shall it be? I took half a step forward, forcing him to instinctively retreat. 3 days in the frozen abyss, or public flaying of your foxtail. My gaze fell on the silver-threaded hem of his robe. Elder Yura, the keeper of punishments. Yet he couldn't cite a single specific statute. The assembled nobles either exchanged knowing glances to cover for him or wore blank expressions. Not one dared challenge his falsehoods. These so-called elites lord over commoners with contempt, yet can't even recall their own decrees. What protection can such rulers possibly offer? To think the Fox clan has sunk this low. Since you lack understanding, I shall enlighten you. Article I, all subjects of Qingqiu, regardless of rank, shall enjoy the protection of royal law and must abide by it. Article 2, only the sovereign and high priest may amend Qingqiu's laws. All other modifications require joint petition from the Elder Council and the sovereign's personal approval. I froze in place. Article 3. Within Qingqiu's borders, all legal disputes, whether involving royalty or commoners, shall be judged by the letter of law, never by social standing alone. Every word crisp and resonant. I continued reciting deliberately. Article 12 of the Code. Enough. Elder Yura snapped sharply. What exactly are you trying to accomplish? I smiled, but not a trace of warmth reached my eyes. Elder seems to have forgotten. Article 12 clearly states, those unrecorded in the Jade Register shall be treated as common foxes. Unless convicted of treason, they are exempt from royal punishment. Pray tell, which of my words constitute treason? He slammed the table violently, spilling half a cup of wine, reciting laws before the entire court. Do you mean to make Qingqiu's elders the laughingstock of the realm, needing lessons from a mirror? Girl, you flatter me, elder. Perhaps age has clouded your memory. I merely assist in tidying up. After all, one misremembered law character could free the guilty or condemn the innocent. My final words carried deliberate weight, and from the corner of my eye, I saw his grip tighten around the scepter. I shifted my tone abruptly. When the king returns, I shall petition that the elders, having toiled for years, deserve their rest, should feeble hands cling stubbornly to power, hindering our people's affairs. Would that not betray both the crown's trust and our kin's hopes? A pity indeed. His beard bristled with rage, yet the glacial glint in my eyes choked his retort. The hall fell deathly silent. No one expected this bastard to not only defy the elders but also wield the law with razor precision, every word piercing their dignity and authority. Elder Yura, after a century overseeing punishments, surely you know the law abhors might over right. I pressed closer. If power alone decides all matters, we might as well burn those 136 statutes to ashes. His face turned puce, the ceremonial staff thudding against golden tiles, yet not a single word escaped him. What's all this lively banquet about? Came a cultured, gentle voice. I looked up to see a man of breathtaking nobility and beauty. When his face came into focus, my heart lurched violently. Ninth brother, the ninth prince. Could he be the Wolf clan's crown prince? We pay our respects to Princess Mina. 3. The assembly suddenly rose to their feet in salute. Only then did I notice my twin sister accompanying ninth brother. Veron glared at me furiously. I'll tolerate your insolence toward me, but how dare you disrespect Mina? Bow this instant. Lyra, kneel only to heaven, earth, and my parents. No one else shall ever command my obeisance. You filthy little. Veron's insult was cut short. Brother, is this our long-lost sister? Mina approached slowly, her rosy cheeks clearly painted with rouge while her frail body betrayed underlying weakness. As her hand touched my arm, an unnatural chill radiated from her. Could this be signs of poisoning? I'm Mina, your twin sister. She smiled with gentle purity. Between sisters, why stand on ceremony? Everyone, take your seats. No need for formalities. She pulled me down beside her. What's your name? Lyra, Lyra, Lyra. What a lovely name. I'm not in the Jade Register, so I can't bear the by surname. It was only a matter of time. If father says it's you, then I believe it. She gazed at me. Seeing you fills me with an inexplicable warmth. I smiled back, though I couldn't match her gentle demeanor. I thought it strange enough that my brother and I looked nothing alike, but now I see even we twins have our own distinct features. It wasn't until Mina said this that I realized Veron bears no resemblance to Mina either. Royal bloodlines should possess formidable spiritual power, yet neither of them exhibits any trace of it. What could have gone wrong here? With a sweeping glance, the familiar figure had already vanished. Only those of distinguished status may attend this banquet. Sister, who is that by your side? The Wolf King's youngest son. Now it seems different. Just as I thought. I froze in place. Had I mistaken his identity, or had ninth brother concealed his true status from me? Elder Fen arrived fashionably late. With measured courtesy, he bowed to me, Mina, and Veron, neither obsequious nor arrogant. Before proceeding to the host's seat, he unfastened the obsidian token from his waist. The nine-tailed fox engraving on the token flared with golden light, the royal insignia personally bestowed by his father, in Qingqiu. None would dare question that the bearer's word was the king's command. As the token met the table with a dull thud, every whisper in the hall died instantly. By royal decree, Lyra of the White Chamber, long-lost princess of the royal bloodline, has been recovered. In 3 days' time, she shall be inscribed in the Jade genealogy as the third princess, henceforth to be addressed as Her Highness Lyra. Furthermore, Princess Lyra is hereby appointed High Priestess, presiding over royal rights and participating in governance of clan affairs. This decree binds all subjects of Qingqiu from this moment forth. As the final words rang out, he slammed the command tablet onto the jade desk with deliberate force. The obsidian tablet struck the jade surface with a thunderous chime, its crystalline resonance silencing all murmurs of dissent. Veron's knuckles turned white as he clenched the cup, his face flushing crimson without uttering a word. Elder Yora's expression darkened abruptly as he staggered backward half a step, nearly knocking over the lampstand. I stared in bewilderment. Why was he reacting so strongly? The banquet continued as usual, though now I found myself surrounded by fawning sycophants. Veron's foxtail bristled with fury at the sight, yet that fleeting encounter left my heart in disarray. What's on your mind, little sister? Mina clasped my hand with affectionate warmth. Nothing, just this endless banquet of mutual flattery. It turns my stomach with its tediousness. Mina chuckled at my words. She quickly made up an excuse to whisk me away from there back at the palace. I polished the bronze mirror ninth brother had left behind, recalling our recent encounter. My heart churned with mixed emotions. Crash. The palace doors were kicked to splinters. Veron barged in with a retinue of servants. His gaze flickered over the bronze mirror in my hand like he'd spotted something vile. She grabbed the tray of jewels and hurled them violently at my feet. Country bumpkins will always be country bumpkins, treating worthless trinkets like treasures. The shattered remnants of glittering jewelry, mingled with fragments of ninth brother's bronze mirror, lay scattered in disarray around my feet. Look at this mess. Now this is what I call a princess's belonging. Have the decency to toss that filthy mirror to the dogs. No, wait, even mutts would turn up their noses at such trash. I hastily picked up the bronze mirror and clutched it tightly. He's trying to establish his authority by trampling over me. How generous of you, brother. Finished with the banquet and now you've time to come bother me. My smile was frost-laced when I lifted my gaze. Is kicking down doors and smashing belongings what passes for royal decorum? Who the hell do you think you are to lecture about propriety? He suddenly lunged to snatch my bronze mirror. This junk is just an eyesore. Let me smash it for you. I dodged sideways, clutching the bronze mirror tightly to my chest. This belongs to me. Keep your hands off it. Yours. He looked like he'd just heard the joke of the century. In the royal city of Qingqiu, there's nothing I desire that I cannot touch, you insignificant wretch. After today's insolence toward the elders and humiliating them before the court, father will surely skin your fox hide when he returns. You stayed silent when he wanted to condemn me, yet now you twist my defense into disrespect. If you're so devoted to Elder Yora, why not let that old fool take the roles of high priest and princess too? I walked forward, each step crunching on shattered jade with crystalline cracks. Veron, am I not our father's daughter, your own blood sister? You keep coming after me again and again. Do you really think I'm some pushover? He lunged at me like a rabid dog whose tail had been stepped on, snarling viciously. "I'd never accept a sister who crawled out of the mud like you. Your very existence tarnishes the royal bloodline. Afraid I'll stain your reputation. Or is it that pathetic throne fantasy of yours you're worried I'll share?" I sidestepped his grasping hand with a derisive snort. "Even the thieving rats outside the palace can see through your scheme. You fear this suddenly appeared sister might block your path to absolute power. Afraid of you," he blustered with false bravado, yet retreated step by step under my piercing gaze. "Don't forget, I'm the high priest. You will show me due respect." Ridiculous. "Once I ascend the throne, your high priest title will be revoked at my whim. Brother should secure that throne first." Veron gritted his teeth and swung his arm to attack me yet again. He was repelled by the golden light, though I didn't know the origin of this golden glow around me. It effortlessly deflected their assaults. "Just you wait. The elders will never let a bastard like you taint the royal bloodline." Then Veron fled with his tail between his legs, seething with rage. Disgusted by his wretched presence, I raised my hand to erect a barrier, but scarcely had I closed my eyes when the barrier was shattered by a surge of brutish spiritual energy stewing in silent fury. I stepped outside. Elder Blackfox and Yora stood before the hall, their swirling spiritual energy radiating murderous intent. Any fool could tell these were reinforcements summoned by that idiot Veron. "To what do we owe the honor of your presence, elders? Come to seek justice for Veron. The prophecy tree has spoken." Elder Blackfox stepped forward solemnly, revealing the royal bloodline to be false. "They say the third princess encountered bandits on her return journey, fleeing alone into the woods. It was Elder Fen who eventually found you in a cave. Is this true?" "That is correct. In that case, how do we know you're not an imposter who seized the chance to replace the real princess and infiltrate the palace in disguise?" Elder Yora let out a cold chuckle, his tail sweeping the ground with a rustling sound. "We're here today to test your true lineage. If you're indeed an imposter, we'll strip your spiritual powers on the spot and throw you into the abyssal frost for a century of frozen torment." Watching his eager anticipation, I suddenly burst into laughter. "The elder's decree still stands, does it not? Once issued, all of Qingqiu must obey. I am now the third princess and high priestess. You show me disrespect by day and invade my palace by night, Elder Yora. Is this what you call reverence for royal authority?" Elder Yora's face darkened instantly, the white fur on his tail bristling like quills. "Are you implying we're defying the royal decree?" The Black Fox snapped. "I wouldn't dare." I straightened my spine, matching his intensity without yielding. "Since His Majesty has acknowledged me, you doubters can wait for his return. In 3 days he'll render judgment himself. You've no right to order me about." "Render judgment?" Elder Yora suddenly bellowed. "The king's judgment is clouded by guilt. Where's the royal protocol in his eyes? Handing you the high priesthood without vetting your origins or verifying your lineage. A gutter-born bastard raised among tinkers. What would you know of sacred rites?" He stared fixedly at the bronze mirror in my arms, as if beholding something vile. "I'll make him see your true colors. A vulgar impostor like you could never be genuine." "What do you want?" I asked through gritted teeth. "A bloodline test with the prince," said the Black Fox elder. "If you share kinship, the lotus pond shall glow golden." Agreed, but I require Elder Fan's presence. At this moment, fearing they might stir up more trouble, I had no choice but to seek Elder Fan's assistance. "Elder Fan is away on palace business. We shall escort you instead," said Elder Yora. My heart tightened with unease. They came fully prepared. "The lotus pond is our sacred relic, flawless for generations. If you were truly the princess, why cower in fear instead of stepping forward?" The Black Fox appeared far calmer than Yora. "It seems I have no choice but to go. Fine, I'll come with you, but when the king returns, he'll make you pay if this turns out to be false accusation. Let's see what kind of tricks they're trying to pull." The mossy stone slabs by the lotus pond grew slick with morning dew. The elders stood encircling me like a wall, their piercing gazes fixed upon me. Veron walked by my side, his tail held high with pride. His smugness was practically oozing from his eyes. "When the pool shows no reaction later, let's see how you'll dare to linger in Qingqiu." He lowered his voice, the certainty in his tone sharp as needles. I ignored him, staring at the pink-white lotuses floating on the pond's surface. Beneath these waters lie the bones of generations of royalty. Legend says when siblings of shared blood enter the pool together, golden light erupts from every lotus, and the waters boil like molten gold. This is the most ancient bloodline verification ritual of Qingqiu, never once proven wrong. Elder Yora stepped forward, his voice carrying unnaturally loud across the still pond. "Princess Lyra, Prince Veron, as true siblings, let this lotus pond bear witness." His words sounded fair, yet carried a barely perceptible challenge in their cadence. Veron stepped into the pool first, shooting me a challenging glance. I took a deep breath, gathered my skirt, and waded into the water. "Told you she's a fraud. Look how the pool's completely undisturbed." Before the words faded, Veron suddenly snorted with derision. "See that? Even the lotus pond rejects you." I stared at the still water, where pale pink lotuses floated undisturbed, not a golden glimmer, not even the faintest ripple stirred. The shore erupted in hushed whispers. "Fake, absolutely fake." The prophecy tree was right, there's wild filth polluting the royal bloodline. I knew it, since when do royal princesses look like this? Some mountain hag must have stolen decent clothes to worm her way into the palace. What are we waiting for? Elder Fan must be senile to bring her back. A fraud like this deserves to have her magic stripped and be thrown to the frost serpents. Even the silent grey-robed elder frowned deeply, speaking gravely to Elder Yora, Brother Yora. Enough with her. The paternity test speaks for itself. Keeping her around now would be a slap in the royal family's face. Their words pierced me like venom-tipped icicles, and pierced right through this crumbling facade of royal dignity too. All the daytime flattery vanished without a trace. Article 36 of the Royal Code. Those who falsely claim royal lineage shall have their foxtails severed and be exiled to the sea of no return. Finally learned to quote the law. Elder, must have crammed all night, I sneered. He slammed the stone table in fury. How dare you? Veron flicked his tail in the water, sending a chilling spray that drenched my face. You bitch, still running your mouth when death's at your door. 5, come and get me if you dare. I clenched my fists, knowing the king's return would settle this. Seize them. Wait. A sharp shout rang out. It was Ninth Brother's voice. His voice cut through the clamor of debate, freezing everyone in their tracks. Standing beside Ninth Brother was Mina, though pale and weak. Mina's words carried undeniable weight. There's more to this bloodline test. The morning wind whipped through Mina's plain white robes. Her gaze swept across the still lotus pond as she enunciated each word clearly. When bloodlines are damaged, only a close relative's spiritual energy can activate the lotus pond. Lyra's weak energy proves her lineage is compromised, Mina stated. Veron's face twisted abruptly, like a cat whose tail had been stepped on, shrieking. Why should I transfer spiritual energy to her? Who knows what schemes this fraud has in mind? Mina didn't look at him, her gaze fixed solely on me. Her eyes held unshakable determination. Then I'll do it. Before the words faded, she lifted her skirts and stepped into the pool. The icy water rose past her hemline. Step by step, she approached me until her fingertips lightly touched my forehead. Don't be afraid, she whispered. A warm surge of spiritual energy flowed gently from her fingertips into my body. In that instant, I could feel the blocked meridians burst open. Every fiber of my being was bathed in warmth. I could even feel the stolen fragment of my soul resonating faintly under the pull of spiritual energy. Boom. The next instant, countless golden specks erupted from the pool's depths. In an instant, a vast web of light wove itself around Mina and me. Golden light shot straight into the heavens, gilding even the distant morning clouds. The murmurs on shore ceased abruptly. You could have heard a pin drop. Veron's triumphant grin froze on his face. The golden light shimmered around just the two of us. Veron stood nearby like an outsider. Elder Yora's hands turned white-knuckled as he gripped the stone table, veins bulging. Elder Black Fox's face drained of all color. Her lips trembled, unable to utter a single word. Well done. Now he's offended both princesses. Mina withdrew her hand, gazing at the pool of golden light. She smiled faintly, her gentle gaze melted like spring thaw. See, it recognizes you, from this day forth. Let me see who dares question the third princess's legitimacy. Yet all eyes turned to the motionless Veron. What's happening? Why isn't the crown prince bathed in golden light? Could it be because Princess Mina transferred her spiritual energy to Princess Lyra? The whispers started up again along the shore. I found their gossip irritating and quickly escorted Mina and Ninth Brother away. After Mina helped me out of that awkward situation, she claimed to feel unwell and returned to the palace, left with no choice. I brought Ninth Brother back to my own quarters. Ninth Brother and I walked in silence. I was at a loss for words. Ask him who he really is. Why hide your true identity? Why did you disappear without a word? Never mind. It's all meaningless anyway. How have you been lately? After a long silence, Ninth Brother was the first to speak. Life's great, feasting on delicacies, living the high life. Really, don't play dumb. If I were doing well, would you keep bailing me out every time? I sighed in exasperation. 6, Ninth Brother said helplessly. I can't interfere in Fox clan affairs. Your sister here is a good soul. She'll help you when she can. If only you were of the wolf clan, I'd never let these treacherous curs come near you. But I am a fox, so you just abandoned me without a word. Not even a single message. Isn't that right? Ninth Highness. Suddenly, Mina's handmaiden burst into the room. Third Princess, my lady has fainted. Inside the palace hall, the royal physician kept his head bowed low. Fearing my wrath, Princess Lyra, Princess Mina was already at death's door, sustained only by the Millennium Snow Lotus's last lifeline. After forcibly channeling spiritual energy and suffering the Frostpool's chill invasion, her condition is now beyond remedy, beyond saving. My fists clenched until fingernails bit into my palms. She was just speaking by the pool moments ago. How could it be beyond remedy? Ninth Brother sensed something amiss and personally checked her pulse. Her spiritual energy carries a faint metallic taint, not chills, but poison. The poison runs deep, indistinguishable from her chronic illness in daily life. Ninth brother looked at me solemnly. Someone deliberately harmed your sister. We must find this person to obtain the antidote. I frowned slightly. I sensed something was off last time, but it wasn't this bad. Why has it suddenly gotten worse now? Suddenly, I caught a glimpse of an almost invisible needle mark on her wrist. Had I not been born with keen senses, I'd never have spotted it. Who could make silver needles vanish between their fingers, killing without a trace? Among the Fox clan, only shadow needles leave such untraceable puncture wounds, Ninth brother said. Who knows the shadow needle technique? Shadow needles, that would be none other than your elder Yura. Though Ninth brother is a prince from another clan, having lived with me in the Fox tribe for so many years, he's privy to quite a bit of information. Are you suggesting elder Yura is trying to frame your sister? It's more than that. I've always felt he's got it out for me. The way he acts isn't just about Veyron. It's like he's got some personal vendetta against me. From what I know, the high priest of your Fox clan holds the most prestigious position after the king, typically reserved for royal or noble offspring. Before you came along, the Fox king only had 2 children. Your brother was the designated crown prince, while your sister's poor health confined her to rest. Thus the high priest position had to be filled by selecting a gifted child from the noble families. The originally appointed high priest was Elder Yura's eldest son. Hearing Ninth brother's explanation, everything suddenly made sense to me. How dare he attempt to assassinate the princess? Your Fox clan values the law above all. This is a capital offense. For power's sake, he's repeatedly defied the king's orders to harass me. What wouldn't he dare? Besides, he's just a senile old man who never bothered to learn the laws. All he knows is bullying others with his authority. No wonder Mina was born with divine strength while Veyron remains utterly ordinary. But when Mina fell terminally ill, Veyron became crown prince instead. Their true motive was propping up that fool Veyron to maintain their own power. And now, my father still hasn't recovered my soul. My spiritual power isn't much stronger than Mina's. That's why they're seizing this chance to eliminate me. These wolves in elders' clothing couldn't care less about royal protocols. All they see are unclaimed thrones and the ambition to climb over corpses. Ninth brother, I'm going to settle scores with that old fox. I'll go with you. Never mind. This is Fox clan business. Best you stay out of it. Don't worry. I know my limits. I knew he wouldn't listen to me, so I stopped trying to hold him back. Elder Yura's residence was heavily guarded. I was about to charge in alone when Ninth brother grabbed my arm. Lyra, acting on impulse again, with a wave of his hand, both of us turned transparent. Invisibility magic, your clan's secret technique. Picked it up easily as a gifted youngster. Seeing his usual carefree demeanor, I pursed my lips. You shameless old coot. With that, I strode right past the guards without a care. Lyra, who are you calling old? 7. I'm barely a century older than you, damn brat. Wait for me. Bang. The temple doors burst open as Veyron stumbled in, his fox fur disheveled and his voice trembling uncontrollably. Elders, disaster. Everyone's saying I'm a fraud. You all saw it. The golden light never shone upon me. He clutched at Elder Yura's robe with such force his nails nearly tore through the fabric. Elder, am I truly the king's son? I beg you, tell me, what should I do now? The king will return to the palace any moment. If this is discovered, they'll cast me into the frozen abyss. Elder Yura, thoroughly annoyed, violently shook off his hand, panicking like a fool, useless coward. Black Fox suddenly understood everything upon seeing Elder Yura's reaction. You senile old fool, you knew all along, didn't you? Yura remained silent, tacitly conceding the point. Old bye, it was you who claimed the prophecy tree spoke. That's why I fell for your damned lies. Black Fox paled with shock and fury, and yet you still sided with that impostor Veyron. Now we've thoroughly alienated both princesses. Don't pin this all on me. Black, the king gave what rightfully belonged to my son to her. How could I possibly accept that? And what exactly am I supposed to do? Elder Yura clenched his fists until his knuckles turned white. I've poured my soul into propping up that worthless Veyron all these years. Now with the third princess's return, everything's ruined. The king's imminent return leaves us no choice. If we don't eliminate those 2 princesses, Veyron's true identity will be exposed sooner or later. We'll all be dead men then. Black Fox's gaze turned razor sharp as he advanced step by step. Old bye, out with it. How long have you known? Or was this your scheme from the very beginning? Silence, Yura roared, slamming the table as he sprang to his feet. If the princess had cooperated, I wouldn't have gone through all this trouble to prop up a worthless puppet. Veyron was never of royal blood to begin with. If not for him, why would I have risked poisoning Princess Mina? He turned to the trembling Veyron, a flash of cruelty in his eyes. Now you're scared. Where was this fear earlier? Veyron collapsed to the ground in terror, babbling incoherently. I don't know. Elder, you must save me, my identity is fabricated, and I've angered her. If the king finds out, I'm finished. Yora roared with fury, then turned toward Black Fox with murderous intent flashing in his eyes. But Black Fox, since you've learned the truth today, you won't be leaving here alive. Before the words faded, Yora's fingertips had already conjured an azure barrier, poised to trap the Black Fox within its shimmering prison. The barrier shattered like glass. Ninth brother stood suddenly in the hall's center, massive hands hanging limp, his voice dripping with glacial venom. Old fool, you broke Lyra's barrier yesterday. Today I dismantle your magic. Consider us even. I stepped up from behind him, a cold smirk playing on my lips. Perfect timing. It seems, Elder Yora's pupils contracted at our sudden appearance before he forced composure. So it's you. Enough talk. I took a step forward, my gaze sharp as a blade. Hand over Mina's antidote, and I might let you live. Yora burst into maniacal laughter, his voice dripping with madness. Antidote. Soulbane is a forbidden Fox clan poison, utterly incurable. If not for that imbecile Veyron bundling everything, you'd never have traced this to me. Still defiant at this hour, I roared in fury. Before I could strike, the Black Fox had already ghosted behind Yora. A vicious palm strike landed squarely between Yora's shoulder blades, caught off guard. Yora coughed up blood violently before collapsing to his knees. Damn, the older the ginger, the hotter the spice, the older the fox, the slyer the vice. Ninth brother's eyes flashed with alertness as he immediately shielded me behind him, just as the Black Fox prepared to strike again. Ninth brother's fingertips erupted with golden light as two divine binding ropes darted forth like spirit serpents. With a swish, they tightly ensnared both the Black Fox and Yora. Lyra, get them out of here. Ninth brother's voice was utterly devoid of warmth. I glanced at the two figures writhing on the ground and smirked with dark amusement. So it's not just foxes that are cunning in this world. Wolves play dirty too. Veyron staggered backward at the sight. What do you think you're doing? I'm the crown prince, the future king of the Fox clan. Lay a single finger on me and see what happens. When father returns, he'll skin you alive. Still dreaming about being crown prince? Dear brother, I let out a soft chuckle. Did you think I didn't hear Elder Yora's words? The term imposter came straight from his lips, crystal clear. Bullshit. He suddenly let out a piercing scream, his hands clawing desperately at his own hair until his knuckles turned white from the strain. I am not. I was born in the palace, raised in the palace. My name is Bai. I'm the crown prince, the heir apparent. Who the hell do you think you are? Some bastard crawled out of the mud dares question me. His voice abruptly dropped to a whisper as madness swirled darkly in his eyes. You think I don't see through your scheme, trying to steal my throne? Did you conspire with Mina to frame me, to have me thrown out like some mangy dog? Dream on. Let me tell you, if I insist you're an imposter, father might never believe you. So what if I'm not the real one? Everyone in the palace has acknowledged me as prince for years. Who'd believe some random upstart like you? Before the words faded, his eyes flashed with malice as he secretly gathered spiritual energy. TCH 8. Ninth brother's deep voice carried a chilling reprimand as his broad palm pressed lightly atop my head, gently pulling me further behind him. Not a single strand of hair stirred as he merely turned his face slightly. His gaze fell upon Veyron like a blade tempered in ice. One more move, and I'll strip you of all your spiritual power. The voice wasn't loud, yet carried an undeniable authority. I leaned against Ninth brother's back, breathing in his crisp herbal scent. The irritation stirred by Veyron's manic behavior suddenly dissipated. With him here, it felt like someone would shield me even if the sky fell. You insolent wretch, the king has returned. This is outrageous. The king's wrath was terrible to behold. Yora, how dare you lay hands on my child right under my nose and attempt to taint the royal bloodline? You've got a death wish. Before the words faded, Veyron came stumbling in, throwing himself at the king with a wail. The villain strikes first with accusations. Father, you finally returned. That upstart girl from the common folk has been lording it over the palace these days. Your son has suffered terribly at her hands. The king suddenly raised his foot and kicked him to the ground, glaring down at him with cold dominance. Did you truly believe I was unaware of your schemes? Gale by your side has revealed everything. Don't you realize who truly holds the power here? Veyron's lip bled from the kick, but at the mention of Gale, his face drained of all color. Father, you've been having me watched. I'd heard rumors of your depravity but refused to believe them. Now I see the truth with my own eyes. The king bellowed. By my decree, Prince Veyron, for his moral failings, is hereby stripped of his crown prince title and banished to the Sea of Desolation for life. No, father. Veyron scrambled up like a madman, pointing at me and howling. Is it because this bastard child returned that you favor her so? Father, I am your true son. You wretched mistake. You're the one who was switched. At birth, the words struck like thunder, leaving Veyron deathly pale as he collapsed to the ground. Suddenly, he let out a piercing laugh, the sound dripping with utter despair. No wonder I could never measure up to my sister, so I was the imposter all along. I'm the real fraud here. As the guards moved in to drag him away, he had no strength left to struggle. Like a broken puppet, the king took a deep breath. Suppressing his rage, I stepped forward anxiously, my voice laced with Urgency, Mina's still poisoned with corpse bloom, and that bastard Yora refuses to hand over the antidote. What are we supposed to do? The king gazed out the window with a heavy sigh, speaking in grave tones. It's not that he refused. This corpse dust poison simply has no antidote. Yora never intended to let Mina live from the very beginning. How could this be? My legs gave way beneath me, barely able to stand. What about Mina? What are we going to do? Lyra, don't panic. The king turned his gaze toward me, his eyes glimmering with faint hope. You and Mina share the same bloodline. If you channel your spiritual energy daily to nourish her meridians, there might still be a slim chance to save her. Even if she doesn't wake up immediately, your spiritual energy shielding her vital meridians will at least keep her out of mortal danger. He paused, his tone grave. The king himself performed the ritual, anchoring my soul firmly within this vessel. My soul had finally returned to its rightful place. In an instant, blinding golden light erupted from my entire body. A warm current surged through every fiber of my being. My long cloud pulse suddenly thrummed back to life with a resonant hum. Instinctively raising a hand to my cheek, I turned toward the bronze mirror in the hall. The reflection bore Mina's exact likeness. No wonder we three once appeared as triplets. In the end, one was a stranger, the other a deceiver in disguise. Your spiritual energy has just recovered. This might be too much for your body to handle. It's alright. Mina's condition worsened because of me, so I'm more than willing to protect her vital meridians. The king nodded approvingly before turning to ninth brother with a cupped hand salute. Your highness, we owe you a great debt for saving my daughter. This kindness shall not be forgotten. As for the elders of the 100 clans, set your mind at ease. Your intervention in our affairs was justified, and I shall ensure they grant you pardon. It's just that those old stick-in-the-muds don't dare speak up. You might have to stay with our clan a while longer. He paused, his gaze sincere. I truly appreciate your efforts this time. Name your reward. I recall your people have long coveted our treasure blade. No, I want nothing at all. Ninth brother smiled faintly, his tone casual and offhand. Seeing Lyra safe and sound puts my mind at ease. The scenery in Qingqiu is delightful. Staying longer wouldn't hurt. You know each other. Father's face was filled with shock as he looked between ninth brother and me. Clearly didn't expect us to have this kind of connection, more than just knowing each other. He practically raised me. I pursed my lips, teasing him on purpose. Ninth brother gave me a resigned look and explained, don't listen to this little one's nonsense. When I first traveled here, she was nearing adulthood. Seeing her living in such hardship, I simply stayed a few extra years to keep her company. The king finally understood, his gaze toward the ninth prince now filled with gratitude and respect. So that's how it was. We're truly indebted to your highness for watching over our daughter all these years. The king accorded the ninth prince the highest honors befitting a royal guest. From then on, my days were spent channeling spiritual energy into Mina. Each time I returned from Mina's palace, I'd be so drained I couldn't even lift a finger. Ninth brother would always appear at this moment with a bowl of restorative broth. Despite his usual carefree demeanor, he remained hopeless at caregiving. The way he clumsily fed me soup was just like when he bandaged my wounds years ago, all thumbs and flustered. Ninth brother, I heard father plans to name me crown prince. Expected. He blew on the spoonful of soup without looking up. I also heard father has dealt with those old hardliners. They won't pursue your interference in Fox clan affairs anymore. Just as expected, he brought the spoon to my lips. If the Fox King lacked such basic skills, he wouldn't last long in that position. But aren't you curious about how he did it? Ninth brother paused the spoon midair and asked with a smile, how exactly? Do tell. He said you're our Fox clan's betrothed son-in-law. Ninth brother's hand holding the soup bowl trembled violently, nearly spilling the broth on me. Seeing him frozen in place with that dazed look in his eyes, I felt an inexplicable pang of disappointment, yet I still forced a carefree smile and gave him a pat on the shoulder. Don't worry, ninth brother, it's not like you're really becoming our Fox clan son-in-law. We'll just annul the engagement after some time passes. I know you love traveling the world, truth be told, so do I, but now that I'm the crown prince, I won't have the same freedom as before. I can't bear to shackle your freedom too. Besides, forcing us together through a political marriage between our clans would be doing you a great injustice. He remained silent, only picking up the spoon again, his movements noticeably gentler than before. He fed me spoonful after spoonful of soup, his eyes veiled with unreadable emotions. Watching him bring another spoon to my lips, I quickly turned my head away. Ninth brother, what are you doing? I haven't even swallowed yet. I can feed myself. With that, I reached out to snatch the soup bowl from his hands. With a deft twist of his wrist, ninth brother effortlessly dodged, leaving me stumbling forward and nearly sliding off the couch. He looked down at me, the corners of his eyes crinkling with an unreadable amusement, though his voice grew deeper. Who told you I was unwilling? I froze abruptly, blinking in surprise. No one told me you were willing. If I weren't willing, he flicked my nose with a chuckle, his voice laced with exasperated amusement. Why would a crown prince waste his days playing nursemaid to you? I touched the tip of my nose and muttered, maybe, you're just a natural Born caregiver, you little brat. Ninth brother was left speechless by my remark and gave me a light flick on the forehead. Yet amusement sparkled in his eyes as he sighed. You'll be the death of me. When you left without a word, I thought you were trying to ditch me like some deadweight. His hands stilled mid-motion as he arched an eyebrow. If I hadn't bolted, your father's royal guard would have mistaken me for a princess-snatching trafficker and skewered me on the spot. You're blaming me. Without my help, you'd have turned into a frozen fox popsicle in that cave. Seeing me rendered speechless, he grinned. Instead, mischief glinting in his eyes, how do you think your clan elder managed to pinpoint you among 100 caves? You've got your ninth brother to thank for that. Besides, why would a wolf prince like me bother attending some fox clan banquet? My heartbeat suddenly faltered as I clutched my sleeve, my voice barely louder than a mosquito's hum. So, you're willing to stay, to become my husband? Naturally, his answer came crisp and clear, his gaze resting on my face with uncommon intensity. At those two words, I sprang up from the couch and threw my arms around him. Old-timer, I thought you'd be kicking the bucket any day now. Huh, who are you calling old-timer? He pinched my cheek, his voice dripping with indignation. I'm only a century older than you. My mother's 3 centuries older than the king. I buried my face in the crook of his neck with a laugh, my warm breath brushing against his skin. Listening to the steady rhythm of his heartbeat, suddenly, all those years of waiting and unease finally settled into peace at this very moment. On the day of the investiture, ninth brother sat right beside me. This posture undeniably confirms the recent rumors of a fox-wolf alliance through marriage. I tilted my head to glance at him, teasing deliberately. Ninth brother, you're marrying into our fox clan. Sure you won't regret this. He arched an eyebrow, his careless demeanor laced with playful mischief. I regret it so much it's eating me alive. His carefree attitude made me laugh, though I deliberately put on a stern face. In that case, I'll call off the engagement tomorrow and take 2 beautiful concubines instead. Life would surely be more pleasant that way. Absolutely not, he finally snapped, realizing he'd fallen for my prank when he saw me laughing, then raised an eyebrow in mock annoyance. Lyra, messing with me again. Just as I was laughing heartily, a clear, solemn announcement suddenly echoed from outside the hall. Princess Mina approaches. Mina entered with light, buoyant steps. Her new dress, embroidered with intertwining lotus patterns, brought a healthy glow to her complexion. The natural flush on her cheeks was no longer the artificial bloom of rouge. I came as soon as I woke upon hearing of your appointment as heir, she said gently, lifting an ornate box with a tender smile. Please don't think poorly of this humble gift. I burst into hearty laughter and pulled her close in one swift motion. Sister, you're finally awake. Quick, inform father at once. We stood shoulder to shoulder, our sleeves brushing against each other. Father has restored my soul, and the poison within her has dissipated. Now, at last, we stand as we were always meant to be. Looking at them now, they could truly pass for twin sisters, I teased with a laugh, though inwardly breathing a quiet sigh of relief. The end. Story 2. When I reached the snowy summit, Qingjing got down on one knee and proposed to me, yet I was merely a canary kept by him under a contract. Jialu, marry me. Holding my phone, I was at a loss as to how to explain this to the 18 male models I was romantically chatting with online, until I was blinded by the dazzling diamond on the engagement ring. I couldn't help but swallow hard and said, honey, weren't we clear that this was just a physical arrangement? At 3 a.m., Qingjing returned home reeking of alcohol. Why are you still up? Waiting for you. I looked at him dizzily and draped myself over his shoulder. Just then, I smelled a strong mix of tobacco and an overpowering perfume. Chanel No. 5. Opening my eyes, I saw a bright red lipstick mark on the collar of Qingjing's shirt. I barely managed to stop myself from saying anything. He really knows how to have a good time. What's wrong? Seeing me pause, Qingjing looked down at me with a smile. I held my breath. Honey, I missed you so much. Qingjing chuckled and caressed my face. I'm going to take a shower, while waiting for Qingjing, I entertained myself with a game of Snake on my game console. Ding dong, a message popped up on my phone. It was from Qingjing. Sister, I hope you can bless us. Attached was a video. In the video, a girl was using Qingjing's phone, playfully tapping here and there under the dim, suggestive lighting. She was dressed in provocative lingerie, and even made a victory sign at the camera. It was clear what had happened. I frowned. Qingjing was really careless. How could he play around and still leave his most important phone behind? Thinking about it, I suddenly felt a sense of crisis. Qingjing had become so desperate that he had to go to bars to find company. Would he replace me next time? I replied, thank you. A man's most valuable asset is his chastity. I'll replace him right away, Qingjing soaked in the bath for an hour, worried that he might suffocate. I knocked lightly on the door with my coat. Honey. 2 minutes later, Qingjing came out in a bathrobe, still irresistibly handsome, but his eyes were slightly red from the steam. I dried his hair for him. Lying in bed later, with a sense of professional crisis, I seductively tugged at the tie of his bathrobe. The next moment, my hand was restrained. Qingjing turned off the light. Let's sleep. I'm a bit tired, right? It seems I need to ask the maid to nourish him tomorrow. I cooed. "Good night, honey," Qinjing responded with a grunt. Without wrapping me in his arms like he used to, I felt both shocked and thrilled, my back a bit chilly without my usual warm furnace. 15 minutes later, I pulled out my phone. I bid good night to each of the 18 handsome male models I was romantically involved with online. I had been with Qinjing for 3 years. He gave me $500,000 a month for my expenses, with other major costs covered by a supplementary card. Although he treated me quite well, the emotional value of such things. Big sister, I want a watch, so every time I look at the time, I can think of you. Big sister, is that okay? Attached was a picture of an expensive Rolex watch. A call of Big sister melted my heart every time. What's a Rolex watch in comparison? After all, would Qinjing ever act sweet or speak lovingly to me? He only knew how to send money, and didn't know how to tenderly cherish me. Young and fresh, male models are indeed better. I usually keep to myself and work diligently. The most outrageous thing I've done is to use a patron's money for online romance. When I was with Qinjing, everything was clear and written in black and white. If Qinjing desired my body, couldn't I share my noble soul with others as I pleased? All I wanted was to give them a home. After Qinjing went on a business trip, I invited a young male model to play games online. He played the supporting role and protected me thoroughly, while I played aggressively as the jungler. We played until 7 a.m., and I transferred him 20,000 yuan for breakfast. The young model was so moved that he cried and read me a 2,000-word love letter he had written. By the time I saw the message from Qinjing, it was already 10 p.m. 2 hours earlier. He had sent me an address, Anting 2115, come here. But at that moment, I was still dreaming of eloping with the young model. Suddenly, my phone vibrated in my palm. Qinjing, feeling guilty, I rolled out of bed in a panic. Anting is my favorite restaurant. Chances are, Qinjing probably wanted to have dinner with me, but now I was likely going there to apologize. Standing in front of the private room, I took a deep breath, gathering my courage. I pushed the door open. Inside, besides Qinjing, there was another woman. She was clinging to Qinjing, her head turned towards the door. Even though they weren't kissing, it looked rather intimate. Just as I stepped in, my keen ability to read the room allowed me, in less than half a second, to complete a series of actions: apologize, close the door, and leave. Sorry for the intrusion. Qinjing clicked his tongue impatiently. Come in. I stepped in again with my trademark smile. Unexpectedly, the woman turned around, her smile sweeter than mine. Big sister, she said cheerily. I suddenly realized she was the girl who had been with Qinjing in the hotel until late at night. Qinjing looked at me, expressionless. Aren't you hungry since you're late? He asked. Qinjing playfully scolded. Big sis, why are you so late? I've already finished dinner with Mr. Chen. Sorry. Qinjing looked at me. Don't you have anything to say? After speaking, his arm rested on the back of Tangjing's chair, and she cleverly leaned into him. What to say? Was this some kind of loyalty test from a secret society? Perhaps Qinjing wanted to see if I would get jealous and angry, maybe even use it as an excuse to replace me. Lesson 1 of getting out of this line of work: never meddle in the boss's private life. I've been in this industry for 3 years, step by step, all based on intelligence. Am I that foolish? I admitted my mistake, Mr. Chen. I didn't mean to be late, nor did I intend to disturb your pleasure. I'm truly sorry. A textbook response, flawless and perfect. Unfortunately, Qinjing's expression darkened instantly. I found an excuse and hid in the restroom. With Qinjing's expression so grim, I needed to think about the assets I had accumulated over the years, to see how many years I could last without eating or drinking if I got fired, before I could even check my phone. Tangjing followed me in. She applied her lipstick in the mirror, a bright red, fiery color. Big sis, after eating the same dish for 3 years, Mr. Chen wanted to try something new. Tangjing smiled slyly. I've taken Big Sis's job. You're not mad, are you? Expressionless, I replied. May the best woman win. But inside, I thought, Qinjing has poor taste in people. His new pet isn't as innocent as he thinks. May the best woman win. Tangjing recounted the story once more before somehow producing a small knife from nowhere. It was utterly baffling. She laughed and said, right now, there's nothing I fear except for your face, sister. I examined her for a moment and slowly nodded in agreement. Indeed, you're far behind in terms of looks, but education-wise, you can't compare to me either. I have a bachelor's from America and a master's from England. Just kidding. I got this job through official channels 3 years ago. I returned from studying abroad. The first resume I submitted was to Qinjing's company. Initially, I went to the office every day and accompanied Qinjing on business trips. Qinjing was a boss who was easygoing in both his personal and professional life. During that half year as his executive assistant, Qinjing and I flew around the world, truly having the time of our lives, until one day, Qinjing called me into his office. A contract was laid out in front of me. I thought it was a promotion and a raise, and indeed it was, but it was a bit different from what I had imagined. However, the allure of a monthly salary of 500,000 was too Strong, I didn't even read the contract closely before I couldn't resist signing it. That marked the beginning of my laid-back days, spending my days reading domineering CEO novels and my nights with the domineering CEO himself. If it weren't for Tang Jing bringing it up, I would have almost forgotten about my glorious past. As expected, touching on her sore point, Tang Jing's expression turned fierce, and I, looking at her angry face, felt my own rage building. How could this job even be life? Threatening, it wasn't mentioned in the contract. As we confronted each other, Tang Jing's gaze became increasingly sharp and malicious. The next second, her knife was thrusting straight towards my face. Without thinking, I grabbed the blade with my right hand, then, with my left hand, I slapped her, causing the knife to clatter to the floor. Warm liquid oozed from my palm, drops of blood pattering onto the ground. Sister, you're still too inexperienced to keep your cool, I said, just as I finished speaking. Chen Jing kicked the door open, seeing my bleeding hand. He paused for a moment, then he unhesitatingly slapped Tang Jing. The force of his slap was so great that Tang Jing hadn't even recovered before she was kneeling on the ground. He said menacingly, giving you a little power and you think too highly of yourself. After the reckless action, my hand started to feel a tearing pain. Chen Jing inspected my wound, his expression showing disbelief at my foolishness. He frowned and scolded. She had a knife and you caught it with your hand. What were you thinking? It was an emergency, and I had to protect my face, which is my livelihood. Seeing the concern from my boss, I blinked twice. Large tears began to fall. I pouted and cried out in a pitiful voice, honey, it hurts. In a private hospital, in a luxurious VIP ward, top surgeons from hand, cosmetic, anesthetic, and orthopedic specialties all gathered for my right hand's treatment. It was incredibly lavish, and as I cried, I thought about it. Damn capitalism. I'm not afraid of anything, except for injections. Chen Jing held me in his arms, trying to comfort me, yet I continued to cry uncontrollably. Meanwhile, his hand gently patted my back, but his tone was frighteningly cold. Chen Jing shouted into the phone, Lujua, get over here now. Lujua was his close friend, but what did this have to do with him? Half an hour later, Lujua arrived. As he entered the room and saw my hand wrapped up like a pig's trotter, he was utterly shocked. No way, this can't be possible. Chen Jing, out of patience, he delivered a kick. Look at the mess you've made. It's all your bad ideas. Chen Jing scolded as he chased Lujua, who was dodging and pleading for mercy. The effects of the anesthesia were wearing off, and I was in so much pain that I couldn't understand what they were saying. Tears started to roll down my cheeks, and in anger, Chen Jing grabbed Lujua by the collar and threw him out. Lujua, I'm off the hook for free now. Stop crying, Lulu, or your eyes will hurt, Chen Jing told me, holding me in his arms, possibly feeling ashamed about the incident. I'm sorry, Lulu. It was my oversight. I was wrong. His apology only made me feel the pain more intensely. Through my sobs, I said, I don't forgive you. Chen Jing, feeling distressed, asked, what can I do to be forgiven? I pondered for a moment and then struggled to pull out my phone from my right pocket with my left hand. I opened a luxury goods website, selected everything in the shopping cart, and handed it over to him. Chen Jing handled the payment as if solving a simple math problem from elementary school. His face relaxed, and he cleared my shopping cart in just a few clicks. I withdrew my longing look and pretended to be slightly less upset. Thank you, husband. Chen Jing kissed my forehead. Silly. Next time just use my card. Spend freely. I couldn't help but smile broadly at this gesture, this injury. It was worth it. Chen Jing settled me on the hospital bed to rest and went out to talk to the doctor. With nothing else to do, I took out my phone, unable to type with my injured right hand. I could only send voice messages to my darling male models. Bae, that last abs pic was so hot. Wish you had gone a bit lower. Baby, I didn't reject you. I'm just waiting for you to make a move. Why are you drinking again? Naughty boy. As a punishment, send your sister a video. After a round of replies, Chen Jing still hadn't returned. My mouth dry and too tired to move, I decided to update my long-neglected social media with a short video. I carefully selected a few everyday photos, Thompson Riviera, a private jet, a Rolls-Royce with a starlight ceiling, and the Black Pearl restaurant. The final text read, I don't need a lot of money, I need a lot of love. I posted it with a sentimental BGM, perfectly executed. In the next room, Lujua and Chen Jing were squatting together. Lujua was showing Chen Jing the video I just posted, with Chen Jing looking furious. Ha, ha, sister. In-law is really funny, Lujua said nervously. What does she mean by this? Chen Jing asked, his eyes red and on the verge of breaking. Too subtle, are you? Lujua was puzzled. I gave her money, my presents, my heart, Chen Jing retorted, fearing she'd get sick from boredom. I turned a blind eye to her keeping male models, and she ends up keeping 18. Chen Jing was on the verge of a breakdown. She doesn't love me at all. You're talking about actions, what about words, Lujua confidently had a plan. For the sake of our brotherhood, let me give you another tip. Qingjing brought me home to recuperate, taking advantage of my inconvenience. I needed help eating and even going to the bathroom out of guilt. Qingjing was more than willing to assist. I switched all my payment cards to bind with Qingjing's. I shopped daily until my eyes were tired, and Qingjing even helped with eye drops. Lost in the dazzle of wealth, I finally put down my phone, squinting. The chandelier. On the ceiling scattered specks of starry light. Mom, is this heaven? I lay on Qingjing's lap. Husband, you are so kind. Then, I turned on my phone and transferred 20,000 to each of my partners. Some of them, knowing the drill, sent me a video that very night. Others, lacking tact, actually returned the money in deeply hidden blue messaged. I don't need money, I just want to chat with you. Thanks. I clicked into my social circle. The background a clear blue sky. The only update was a shared song, Taylor Swift's Enchanted. I pulled up the resume from when he first added me. His portrait was striking, but I fixated on the white socks visible in his last photo. I see. 14. After my wounds healed, the work Qingjing had previously pushed aside came flooding back. He calmly told me he would be away on a business trip for a month, and flew off under my tearful gaze. That night, heartbroken, I scored 10 straight victories in the gaming canyon and played werewolf with 8 male models on voice chat. Everyone was asking if I was still playing. Only Perfume Bro asked if I was tired. Tears instantly welled up in my eyes. After Qingjing left, it was just daily sparks with Perfume Bro. Our friendship was pure, free from financial transactions, and unburdened. Emily, you have 18 boyfriends. Why do you still say you lack love? That's nothing. I have a husband too. Doesn't your husband love you? I waved it off. It's not the same. He's too busy, always traveling. I need care and companionship. Perfume Bro was silent for a while, then suddenly made a voice call. His deep, magnetic voice came through. Emily, I'll keep you company. 15. At 3 in the morning, I connected with Perfume Bro in the living room to disassemble a Millennium Falcon model, meaning we took apart the finished model of Qingjing in the display cabinet and reassembled it under Perfume Bro's guidance. Perfume Bro asked, do you think your husband treats you poorly, more than poorly? He's downright terrible. Just mentioning it got me irate. Being with him is life-threatening and he's not romantic at all. Stiff, though it's not his fault either. Does Qingjing treat me well? Not bad. Does he treat me poorly? Can't say that. We're just in a contractual relationship, and as a financier, he's more than qualified. I sighed. Well, the emotions between a man and a woman are complicated. I could never be with him. Perfume Bro was silent for a long time. I'm not good at assembling. And started talking to the air. Of course, I couldn't possibly love him. The second lesson of getting out of the game is to never invest real feelings in a financier. That's a cosmic taboo for a goldfinch. Deeply hidden blue. You should understand. Two people without feelings can still be together. Mutual benefits. Money is almighty. Through the turned-off TV screen, I saw a man standing at the door. Qingjing had come home unexpectedly. I hadn't even heard the sound of the lock. Startled, my soul nearly left my body. Caught in the act for the first time, my hands shook as I cut off my call with Perfume Bro. When I spoke again, I was stammering. Why are you back? Qingjing had heavy dark circles. He rubbed his brow. His voice, unable to hide his fatigue, also carried a hint of sadness. He said, today's your birthday. 16. That was close. Almost got caught by my husband. Qingjing squeezed some time to fly back and celebrate my birthday with me, then flew off again, seeing the shattered remains of the millennial-old Falcon on the table. I didn't say anything. After I told Perfume Brother about what happened, I collapsed onto the sofa. Qingjing gave me a set of jewelry. I had casually mentioned liking it while browsing through an auction house. Perfume Brother pondered deeply. Could there be a possibility? Does your husband really love you? At this point, I was completely honest with Perfume Brother. Deep blue. Actually, we aren't legally married. Husband is just a term I use. I'm like a canary he keeps, so there's really no future for us. It was a lot to take in, and Perfume Brother seemed to have a system crash. He stuttered. What canary? It means a mistress. I know a lot of people look down on me, but he's not married, he's not in a relationship, and I haven't done anything morally wrong. You actually think that you are being kept by your husband? I curiously said. Deep blue, you just sounded exactly like my husband just now. There was sudden coughing from the other end. It's okay, Emily, I don't mind. 17. My little spark with Perfume Brother turned into a great ship. Qingjing was still on a business trip abroad. Compared to Qingjing's occasional attentiveness, Perfume Brother was constantly by my side. We were always on the phone. I wanted to get a cat, and Perfume Brother sent me guides. He listened to me recount gossip from my school days. Whatever I did, he was fully supportive. When I mentioned starting a shop, he sent me a feasibility analysis the next day. He even replaced the male model in my routine before bed. Perfume Brother was mature, well-educated, and had studied abroad. He lulled me to sleep with Shakespeare's poetry in a charming British accent. When I woke up, he hadn't even ended the video call. You're awake, Emily. His camera was pointed at the desk, on which lay a sketch of me. He said, the way you laugh with a comic book in your hands is beautiful. I couldn't help but draw it. Thump, thump, my heart raced. I stared at the drawing, with the sound of Perfume Brother's voice still echoing in my ears. Mom, I think I've fallen in love. 18. In the 3 years with Qingjing, I've thought more than once about changing my life. Although there is a master in every trade, being a canary as I have been, it's hard not to consider it a kind of success. But if my alma mater invited me to give a lecture as a successful alumna, I'd definitely start by shouting, "Never go into this line of work. It's a trap. You gain money but lose control over your own body." Instead of a canary, I'm more like a plaything easily manipulated, always at beck and call. This is not a shortcut to the upper class, it's a dead end. Qingjing can give me money, gifts, and time, but notably absent is love. But don't I have all these things? I don't need to depend on a man, I can buy them for myself. True happiness is within reach. This line of work is full of disgrace. Once you've seen material desires and grown tired of them, but there's no turning back. Like now, I've reached the stage where money means nothing, in an industry where it's hard to connect. I met the person I most want to love. During another late-night call with Perfume Brother, I sobbed, sniffling, "If only you were a swindler, Deep Blue." I cried bitterly. "You could have just swindled my husband's money, but instead, you stole my heart." 19. Really? Perfume Brother's usually low and steady voice was somewhat elusive. Really? Suddenly, there was silence on the other end of the phone. Qingjing shakily turned off the mute, closed his eyes, and let tears silently fall. Luzhua could hardly contain his excitement, clenching his fists and waving them wildly in the air. "Yes, that's a good shot." One might have thought he was watching the World Cup. "It wasn't easy. Your sister-in-law is finally really your sister-in-law now." Luzhua, strong in limbs but simple in mind, did not realize that his words deeply hurt his good brother's heart. 3 whole years, and sister-in-law has finally fallen for you, and she loves you still, the stiff and boring you. At that moment, my voice came through the phone, filled with sadness. "What's the use? Can you even straighten things out?" Tripping over his own feet, Luzhua fell to the ground with a clang. I began to list the evidence that Perfume Brother is gay. Blue. What straight man plays this app? White socks. What straight man intentionally shows them off in photos, social media posts? What straight man, at this point, Perfume Brother couldn't stand it anymore. No, is there a rule that straight men can't listen to Taylor's songs? And besides, I just really like this song. It means a lot to me. I fell silent, but it really didn't feel like he had any characteristics of being gay. At most, he was a straight man with a slight bend. "Do you like me?" I quickly added, "Even though I have a husband." Perfume Brother's gentle and deep confession echoed in my ear. "Emily, I don't mind. I really like you." I was moved to tears in an instant. It felt like the first time I was immersed in a pink bubble of love. "Let's elope then," I asserted. "Would you accept me? I'll run away with you. I'll handle things on this end." "Okay, the day after tomorrow. I'll come to your city and wait for you under your apartment." After hanging up, I was in a daze for a long time. I felt like Rapunzel trapped in a high tower, waiting for a prince to rescue me. Although Perfume Brother never showed his face during video calls, and there was a chance the photos were deceiving, it didn't matter. I wasn't in love with his appearance. After spending 3 years with Qingjing, it was time for me to start a new life. I checked my phone and saw a message from Qingjing from 2 minutes ago. "The day after tomorrow, come with me to Switzerland." I instantly replied, "Okay." When I boarded the private plane, I realized that besides Qingjing, several of his close friends were also coming along. Luzhua brought his girlfriend, who greeted me with a smile upon seeing me. Hey, it was utterly bizarre. The snowy landscape in Switzerland was breathtaking, but my heart wasn't in it. Qingjing had always treated me well, especially since this trip seemed to be a casual vacation among close friends, not business related. He had included me in it. I'd talk about it after the trip, as we rode the cable car up to the Jungfrau. Luzhua and his girlfriend were very affectionate. Seeing me looking out the window, Qingjing asked, feeling upset. I shook my head. If I rashly spoke of leaving him, it would definitely provoke Qingjing's fury. No canary ever escapes its benefactor. My action would undoubtedly be trampling on Qingjing's dignity, but I had made plans with Perfume Brother. After this trip, I would sort everything out and elope with him. Reaching the summit, I gazed at the endless snowy landscape. The forests and winding rivers dotted the vast white canvas, a sight of overwhelming beauty. I took a deep breath of the cold air. Turning around, I found Qingjing was half a head shorter than me. The tourists around had formed a circle. That's when I realized that Qingjing was on one knee, holding a ring box in his hand. Inside the small red velvet box lay a universe-defying, dazzling diamond ring. "Oh no, something has happened. Jialu, marry me." Qingjing's eyes were warm and affectionate. Despite all my calculations, I never expected Qingjing to have feelings for me, and here I was, kidnapped from miles away, only to be proposed to. Startled, I took a small step back and looked around at The surroundings, if I were to confess to Qingjing now, this place really would be perfect for hiding a body. Hesitating, I was nearly blinded by the light refracted off the enormous diamond on the ring. I almost couldn't resist the temptation and reached out my finger, swallowing hard. I bravely declined. Honey, didn't we agree on selling my services but not my heart? With Qingjing's intelligence, he couldn't possibly miss the hint of rejection, but he wasn't angry, nor did he stand up. His smile grew wider. In that case, Qingjing rephrased, Emily, marry me. I widened my eyes and took a big step back. It had been exactly 2 hours since the ring was placed on my ring finger. I finally burst out, damn, you really had me fooled. Qingjing smiled. Yes, I am full of surprises. That statement was a double entendre. I couldn't reconcile this man in front of me with the gentle, stable, and considerate perfume bro I knew. Qingjing just laughed. It's me, not satisfied, touching the hard, candy-sized ring. I pondered, but honey, you've already dirted yourself. Qingjing, confused. What? Your last escapade? Tangjing sent me the video. Over these 3 years with Qingjing, he had been somewhat a paragon of virtue. Then suddenly Tangjing appears, which was rather annoying. I said, I only marry virgins. After a moment of silence, Qingjing took out his phone and called Lu Zhou. Come over here. That evening when Qingjing came home late, I deliberately ignored his perfume scent, trying to be considerate as usual, but Qingjing just wanted to see me jealous. Strategist Lu Zhou pulled out his phone and showed me his chat with Qingjing. Look at the terrible idea you gave. She doesn't care about me at all. Impossible. Did sister-in-law realize it was my handiwork? She clearly saw the kiss marks on my clothes, yet acted as if nothing happened. She just doesn't love me. I read these messages silently, unable to match the Qingjing in the phone with the one in reality. To test whether I loved him, these two grown men used lingerie and kiss marks. Wow. Lu Zhou was still flipping his hair. Sister-in-law, you don't know. Qingjing was almost in pieces. He started crying the moment he saw me, but luckily, I was there, and now it seems you do care about him. I blinked and looked up at Qingjing. I noticed his ears were red, but he seemed somewhat smug. It seemed Qingjing loved me more than I thought, even though he had been lukewarm towards me for these 3 years. He had staged such a drama in his heart, cold in public, secretly passionate. I tugged at my lips, and finally just blurted out, my God, honey, do you have split personalities? Lu Zhou knew too much. After he eagerly explained the final misunderstanding between us, Qingjing dragged him out to silence him for good. I am someone who knows when to compromise and when to take advantage. If Qingjing really is perfume bro, that actually seems pretty good. After all, he really isn't gay. I no longer have to worry about falling into financial scams or receiving goods that don't match their descriptions, nor do I have to break up with Qingjing and move out of the luxurious mansion. It's always more reassuring to deal with someone you know, but as I thought about it, I broke into a cold sweat, feeling a chill down my spine. Initially, I treated Shamshui brother as a confidant, spilling all my secrets. Doesn't that mean Qingjing knows everything about me supporting a male model? Insulting wealthy patrons, and eloping. I glanced guiltily at Qingjing, who was by my side. Indeed, Qingjing gave me a sly smile. I won't fuss over other things, but let's settle the accounts for the financial support. Husband, after returning from Switzerland, we, the newlyweds, went straight to the mansion. Under Qingjing's coercion, I opened the safe in front of him and took out the contract I signed with him 3 years ago. Look closely. Did you say this was a financial support contract? That's what it is. Look for yourself. I pointed at the content of the contract and read, 1. During the period of love, both parties must remain absolutely loyal to each other, not developing intimate relationships beyond friendship with others. 4. Both parties are obligated to abide by social morals and must not engage in behavior that damages the image of both parties during the relationship. 10. This contract takes effect from the date of signing until both parties voluntarily end the relationship. My voice grew weaker as I read, trembling towards the end. Something's wrong. It feels like I've been duped. How could this be a love contract? Qingjing chuckled coldly above my head, and I bowed my head like an ostrich. I feigned ignorance shakily. What's this now? Did you just sign it because it promised 500,000 a month? I nodded frantically. Qingjing seemed dumbfounded by my stupidity. Hands on his hips in the room. Didn't you have the slightest doubt over 3 years? He stared at the top of my head, watching me shrink back, and laughed in exasperation. Forget it. If you had been a bit smarter, I wouldn't have caught you. Ever since they became a couple, my Shamshui brother has drifted away from me, but his glorious deeds are still evident in Qingjing. Qingjing opened a bakery for me, letting me be responsible for its profits and losses, sitting as the lady boss every day. In his own words, I should just do whatever I want, but facing Qingjing, I always felt like I was still involved in shady businesses, although that's indeed a misconception, caused by my blindness back then, but that's where my mindset is, and I can't change it for a while. Taking advantage of the weekend night off from work, I straddled Qingjing and coquettishly made a request. Husband, say some sweet nothings to me. I still don't know why you like me. 3 years ago, when I clung to Qingjing, I thought, oh God, let there be profit, and when Qingjing took the contract I Signed, he secretly rejoiced, thinking, thank goodness there's still profit to be had. Qinjing looked at me, for so long that I started feeling embarrassed. He stared at me and said, I know you're foolish and frivolous, empty-headed, yet I love you. I know your schemes, your ambitions, you're opportunistic and vulgar, yet I love you. I know you're second-rate, yet I love you. Not a single nice word. After hearing this, I got up furiously from his lap and punched him twice with all my might. Damn it, is this how you see me, if you want to scold me? Just say it, I've studied abroad, I can only admit he's half right. I stormed out of the bedroom, followed by Qinjing's resigned, amused sight. In mid-March, we returned to Switzerland for our wedding. At the wedding, the once dead Lujua attended in full attire, sitting proudly at the main table as if he himself was getting married. He greeted me warmly, though his words were always baffling. Sister-in-law has been drinking cold for 3 years, her passionate blood uncooled, finally becoming sister-in-law. When it came time to exchange rings, the love dog Bernice contributed by Lujua delivered the rings to us. The little Bernice, chubby and white, rushed towards us like a shelled giant bamboo shoot, full of fleshiness. Qinjing replaced my ring with a bigger, flashier diamond ring. The light refracted from this diamond could shine a galaxy, and finding aliens now depended on me. In a small game segment, the MC asked us to write a romantic line for each other. After a minute, we both held up our signs to reveal our answers simultaneously. Playing this familiar game felt like a replay of a past drama, setting off alarm bells in my mind. The humiliation from last time was still painfully fresh, but to save face for Qinjing, I decided to skip some parts. I simply wrote, yet, I love you on my paper. A minute later, under the watchful eyes of the host and guests, we both held up our signs. Qinjing seemed to have anticipated my response and smiled affectionately on his paper. He had written a line from an English song, I was enchanted to meet you. He was completely captivated by me.